Welcome to Nocturne Historia. The snow falls in slow spirals tonight, thick, soft, as if the sky itself has forgotten how to speak in anything louder than a hush. In the center of it all, a boy kneels in the dark. His mittened fingers brush at the frost, uncovering a shape pressed deep into the earth, a curve of old iron, half rusted and waiting. The wind picks up, whispering through the pine trees around him, and for a moment, it sounds like chanting, like a language that was once carved into stone and sung across firelight. The boy's breath ghosts into the stillness as he touches the blade, and something ancient stirs. This is not a playground, not a memory, not even a moment. This is a door, and behind it lies a world of ice and blood and song. And once you step through, you may not come back unchanged. You wake beneath a sky so wide it could swallow the moon. The snow is still falling, but here it's different. Finer, colder, touched by the weight of centuries. Pines stretch above you like the ribs of a silent cathedral. Their shadows do not move. You hear it before you see it. The crackle of fire, distant, hungry, and the low murmur of voices speaking in a tongue whose rhythm clings to the bones. You rise slowly. Your breath clouds around you, and already the edges of the world feel softer, like fabric worn thin from remembrance. A longhouse looms in the distance, its roof burdened with snow, but smoke spills from its top, warm and red against the pale hush. As you draw closer, the voices grow clearer, laughter wrapped around lament, stories tangled like branches in wind. Inside they sit close, wrapped in cloaks and furs, eyes shining with memory. You pause at the door. The beam above is carved. Wolves run in a circle, biting tails, forming no end. Their eyes are filled with stars. You trace them with a finger and feel the chill deepen, not just of snow, but of story. One old man looks up as you enter. His face is a map of years. He does not smile, but he nods. The flames leap, and in them, the past begins to burn. A girl hands you a horn of warm mead. The sweetness tastes like something lost, honey and ash. The skald begins to speak, not to you, but through you. His voice is low, but it wraps around your ribs like a second heartbeat. There was a time, he says, when the north bled light, and men sailed on the edge of the world to chase it. You feel the room deepen. Shadows lean forward. Even the fire seems to listen. He speaks of warriors born from frost, of gods who watched from the high tree, of mothers who whispered lullabies before braiding iron into their sons' hair. His words are not a tale. They are a tide, and it begins to pull you under. In the corner, an old woman hums as she sharpens a blade. Her song is not in words, but it cuts the silence cleanly. Above, on the wooden beams, symbols dance in soot and age. Ravens, axes, runes that flicker in the shifting light. One in particular draws your eye, a spiral that loops in on itself, over and over, like a thought you cannot stop thinking. It hums. Or maybe that's your blood, remembering something it never lived. The fire pops. Sparks rise like souls toward the rafters. The room holds its breath. You know now, this is not the beginning. This is only the moment the story remembers you. A candle flickers. Your breath slows. Later that night, the hearth breathes low. The longhouse is quieter now, but not silent. Fire still curls gently in the dark, its light casting dancing shadows that reach farther than seems possible. You sit near the embers, knees drawn close, and watch the glow creep across the wooden floor like the slow movement of time itself. Outside, the cold is absolute, the kind that presses against the walls like a memory trying to return. But here, wrapped in warmth and smoke, the cold becomes something different. It is the frame around the fire. The silence before a name is spoken. A boy near the flames holds a carved piece of bone. He turns it over in his fingers again and again. His face is young, but his eyes have seen something old. He doesn't speak. He listens. To the crackle. To the breath of the others sleeping nearby. To something underneath it all. The way one listens for the voice of the gods in wind and wave. You watch him. You know his name, though he hasn't said it. He is the one who touched the axe beneath the snow, and already the fire recognizes him. The skald is gone now. Only his scent remains. Pine pitch, sweat, old wool. In his absence, the fire begins to speak a different story, not in words, but in images. A frozen bay, a mother wrapping a babe in fur, a star pulsing over a village roof. Each flicker of flame is a doorway, and you step through. You are in the forge now. It is not a grand place, just a blackened room tucked beneath a slope of earth, walls sweat-stained with heat. But the air here is thick with purpose. A man leans over an anvil, shoulders bent like mountains. Sparks leap up, wild and gold, as his hammer sings against the glowing blade beneath it. His breath comes in clouds. He does not look up, but you know he feels you. He is shaping more than metal. He is shaping fate. And fate, tonight, is fire. A wolf's tooth lies beside the coals. Not real. Carved of iron, heavy in the palm. A charm. A promise. A warning. The man touches it between strikes, each time as though to remind himself of something, or someone, he cannot afford to forget. The boy is here too, in the corner, watching. The firelight paints both their faces the same. Though they are not father and son, the glow weaves them into kinship, through craft, through silence, through the shared language of heat and steel. The man says, finally, "You do not own the blade until it draws." The boy nods. He already knows. But knowing and understanding are not the same. He takes the blade when it cools, not fully, just enough, and places it against his wrist, not to cut, to feel, the warmth, the weight, the meaning. It is not sharp yet, but it will be. You step back. The forge darkens, folding itself like a finished dream. You are again inside the longhouse. The fire before you sighs, lower now. The boy is asleep. The bone carving has fallen to the floor. You reach to pick it up. It is a horse. No, a dragon. No, both. Its lines shift under your fingers. The edges blur. Its eye is a hollow spiral. You hold it to your ear. And for a moment you hear hoofbeats and wings, the rush of wind, the crack of sails in storm. The fire stutters, then steadies. In the shadows, someone stirs. Not with movement, but with presence, as though the old gods lean in from where they wait, curious to see what comes next. The air feels heavy with their breath. Somewhere outside, the ice groans, a sound like bones settling, a sound like the land remembering. You let the carving go. The boy exhales in his sleep, and the blade in the forge cools just enough to dream. The silence is heavier now. The silence still hums, but now it is joined by a rhythm older than wood or fire, the heartbeat of water. At first it's only a suggestion beneath the wind. Then it grows, slow, wide, deep, the tide returning with the voice of something half asleep, half starved. You follow the sound down a narrow path carved by countless feet, down past leaning stones and frost-kissed grass, until you reach the edge of the world. The sea greets you with open arms, not soft ones. The shore is jagged and dark, strewn with driftwood like bones of forgotten ships. Foam hisses between the rocks, and in the far distance, waves rise like beasts shifting in their sleep. You stand still, you taste salt, and then you see them. Longships, lean as hunger, curved as crescent moons, pulled onto the pebbled shore like beasts brought to drink. Their hulls are slick with brine. Their figureheads rise in silence. Dragons, serpents, wolves, each snarling into the wind as if defying the gods to stop them. Men move among them. They do not shout. Their voices are low, clipped, purposeful. Rope is tied, blades checked, wood tapped and tested. Even the young among them, no older than the boy you saw by the hearth, move like water remembers them. These are raiders, but not just that. They are listeners of tide, readers of stars, wearers of fate's shadow. You step closer. One man pauses, resting his palm against the flank of the ship as if it were a living thing, which, in some way, it is. It groans under his touch, wooden ribs whispering with strain. He speaks to it softly. Not words, but tone. Gratitude, perhaps. Or warning. Nearby, a woman ties her braid tighter and smears ash along her cheek. She wears a knife at her belt, and no fear in her eyes. The wind turns colder, carrying the smell of salt, pitch, and something else. Blood not yet shed. The ships are not idle. They are poised. Every inch of wood remembers waves. Every shield tied along the sides is both armor and drum. These vessels do not simply sail. They seek. The boy is here too. Not on a ship, but among the rocks, just out of reach. He watches with a hunger in his eyes not yet understood. His hands are cold, but steady. He clutches the carved bone still, now polished by touch, smoothed by sleep. The shape is clearer. It is a dragon now, definitely a dragon. You wonder if it always was. Someone calls. A low sound, a name, half swallowed by the wind. The boy does not answer, but his eyes flick to the sails. One is being raised, slow, deliberate, and silent. As it unfurls, it catches the morning sun and turns red. Blood red, though no dye could be that bright. The color doesn't glow. It burns. The sea seems to lean forward. You step back. The wind keens, and the longship shudders once, then slides free of the shore. There is no ceremony, no fanfare, only the press of oars, the stretch of sail, the whisper of water parting like fabric torn slowly in the dark. You watch as the ship moves farther and farther away, not fast, but inevitable. One by one, others follow. The dragon-proud beasts glide into the gray horizon until their sails become teeth, then shadows, then memory. You look down. The boy is gone. Only his footprints remain, disappearing into the tide. You almost forget this isn't a memory. The silence is not gone. It has only changed its shape. Now it flies in circles. Fog clings to the morning like old sorrow. It swirls low over the sea, thick and veiled, blurring the line between water and sky. You are aboard one of the longships now, not as a warrior, but as an unseen soul, drifting between breath and wakefulness. The deck beneath you groans softly. Every plank carries a story. Every knot in the timber is a prayer, or a curse, or both. The fog is dense, but the oars move as if through memory, in rhythm, in silence. The men do not speak. Even the woman who once sang at the shore now grips her shield and stares forward. Her eyes narrow beneath a band of wool. A smear of ash remains across her cheek, and in it, the shape of a crescent moon can still be seen. Overhead, there is a sudden flutter, a sharp cry that pierces the mist. A raven, and then another. They circle above the ship, not frantic but knowing, their wings silent save for the occasional croak of warning. Their feathers glisten with sea mist. They dive, skim the water, then rise again. One of the men spits into the sea and mutters, "Thought they were behind us." Another shakes his head. Not behind. Watching. The ship rocks gently. The oars slow. No one commands it, but the rhythm fades like a breath exhaled. The fog thickens, folding around the vessel like a great pale serpent. You cannot see the horizon now. Only shapes. shadows, hints, and the sound, low, steady, of water against wood. The boy is here, curled between barrels at the stern, unseen. His fingers are tight around the carved dragon, which has now grown warm from the heat of his palm. It pulses with him. He breathes in time with it. He does not know where they are going, but he knows this is the only place he could have gone. One of the older men notices him. Their eyes meet. No words are exchanged, but a silent truth passes between them. There is no turning back. The ravens cry again, louder this time, sharper, and suddenly there's a shape in the mist. Another ship, then 2, then 5. The fleet. Their prows pierce the fog like blades through silk. For a moment, it looks like a forest has risen from the sea, masts like trees, sails like dead leaves. More ravens wheel above them. The boy stares, wide-eyed. He grips the railing and leans forward. One of the birds dives close, its eyes like oil lamps, bottomless, burning, ancient. In its cry, you hear something you can't explain. Grief, warning, recognition. Then it vanishes into the fog. The oars begin again, not fast, but certain. There is no land in sight, only mist and myth. And still the ships press forward, as if chasing a song only they can hear. As the fog curls tighter around them, a voice rises from the prow. Not a command, but a chant. Low, steady. A language not spoken so much as remembered. Others join in. The chant becomes a tether, holding them to one another across the invisible waves. And beneath it, the sea listens. It always listens. You glance back, but the shore is gone. Was it ever there? You are no longer between moments. You are inside the dream. And dreams, once entered, do not end gently. Ash drifts in the quiet. You pass another closed door. Not a door of wood, but of silence. A threshold felt in the lungs more than seen. The chant has faded now, swallowed by the distance between ships, or perhaps by what waits ahead. The mist still clings, but it has thinned, like a veil pulled back slowly from a sleeping face. Dawn is trying to break. The sea rolls gentler now, not because it's kind, but because it's waiting. In the middle of the longship, the warriors gather in a circle. No commands are spoken. This is not a ceremony that needs explaining. It is older than speech. You move closer, and the boy is already there, just outside the ring of fur and steel. His eyes are wide, fixed on what rests at the center. A hammer. Not the one of the forge. This one is smaller, shaped of iron, bound with leather at the grip. Its head etched with runes so fine they seem to crawl under the eye. It does not gleam. It drinks the light instead. Beside it, a ring. Iron. Unpolished. Unbroken. The man who once laid his hand on the ship's flank now kneels beside the objects. His breath is visible in the cold, rising in soft gusts like prayer. He does not speak to the others. He speaks to something else, to the gods, or to the sea, or to the memory of someone buried beneath both. By this ring, he says, we do not promise to win. We promise to remember. He picks up the ring, then the knife. He does not flinch as the blade draws a thin line across his palm. The blood beads, falls, onto the hammer, onto the deck, onto the sea. Each man follows. One by one they offer a cut, a drop, a part of themselves. Some grip the blade tightly, others barely touch it. But all of them bleed. The ring passes, hand to hand. It is not worn, not yet. It is only carried, as if to wear it too soon would be to claim a fate not yet earned. The boy is still. One man offers him the blade. He hesitates, not from fear, but from knowing. When he steps into the circle, the mist swirls tighter, as if drawn by breath. He does not look away. He does not ask what this means. He simply holds out his palm and lets the iron kiss him. It is not a deep cut, but it is enough. The blood is bright, hot. It lands on the hammer with a hiss, and then he steps back. The woman with the crescent moon ash mark nods once. Her fingers touch her own blade, still sheathed. A quiet acknowledgement. Something has shifted. He is no longer just a boy. He is a promise, a story yet to bleed. The ring is placed at the prow. It will stay there until it is needed, until it chooses a hand that dares to wear it. Overhead, a raven lands on the mast and shakes its feathers. The sound is dry, sharp, like a page being turned. The sea offers no applause, only stillness. The boy returns to the edge of the ship. He looks at his hand. The blood has begun to dry. It will scar, and the scar will sing, long after his name is forgotten. A bell rings again, softer this time. The silence still hums, but now, beneath it, something begins to form. Not a sound, a shape, the shape of story. You feel it first before it speaks, a slow curl of something in the chest, a soft pressure between the ribs, like a name rising on the edge of the tongue. It does not shout, it does not plead, it waits, as all true stories do, for someone willing to listen. You lean closer to the deck. There, near the boy's feet, a bundle of bark rests, curled and pale, as if the tree it came from still dreams through it. Strips of birch, wrapped in sinew, smudged with soot and age. A hand reaches down, not the boy's, the skald. He has returned, though you never saw him step aboard. His cloak is heavy with damp, fur-lined and ink-stained. At his side, a pouch of charcoal and pigment rattles like bone against bone. His eyes are bright, too bright for morning, or perhaps they shine only because they have seen too much dark. He sits without speaking. His hands move, deft and slow, unwrapping the bark, unfurling the stories. Each strip carries ink, runes shaped not in straight lines, but in swirls and loops. They are not meant to be read. They are meant to be felt, touched, heard with the blood. The boy leans in. So do you. The skald begins to whisper, not in your language, but in one you somehow understand. His breath warms the air around the bark. His words slip through the cold like fingers finding threads in a tangle. He speaks of a tree that holds all things, past, present, what is, and what should not be. He speaks of wolves with stars in their throats, of a well so deep it drinks memory, and of a man who tore out his eye not for power, but for the right to ask a question. The boy does not blink. He is no longer only listening. He is remembering something he never knew. The skald does not look at him, only at the bark, as if afraid the story might scatter if met with eyes. You watch as he paints a new rune at the edge of the strip, the shape of a hook curled beneath the moon. The ink bleeds slightly. Not a mistake. A pulse. The boy reaches out, almost touching it, but stops. It is not yet yours, the skald says softly, but it will be. The bark is rewrapped, carefully, reverently, like a body ready for burial or birth. The skald stands. He does not speak again. Instead, he places one finger to the boy's chest, right where the heartbeat lives. Then he walks to the edge of the ship, and as he passes, the mist folds around him like a cloak reborn. Whether he jumps or fades or vanishes entirely, you cannot tell. He is simply gone. The boy sits for a long time. The sea around you is calm now, as if even the waves are listening. He presses a hand to his chest, where the skald touched, and for a moment he hums the shape of a name not his own. A raven passes low overhead. Its shadow stretches too far, not just across the ship, but back through time, like a whisper following a scream. The sun finally breaks through the fog. The light falls on the deck like a forgotten page. You almost forget this isn't a memory. The silence is heavier now, not from stillness, from weight, from the mass of choices not yet made. The sun climbs higher, and the ships glide forward, cutting through the sea with the calm of creatures that have never known doubt. But in your chest, something coils tighter. The dream is changing shape again. You close your eyes, and when you open them, you are standing at the mouth of a forge. Not aboard the ship. Somewhere older, colder. On land, perhaps. Or in memory. The forge is set into the belly of a hill, its stone mouth breathing out waves of heat and smoke that curl into the icy air like ghosts too restless to rise. Each breath from within is a heartbeat, deep and slow. The sound of iron being made to remember. You step inside. It is dark, save for the red glow that pulses from the center like a sleeping eye. A man bends over the anvil. You've seen him before, in the earlier fire, where he hammered steel into shape not just for use, but for fate. Now his arms move with more urgency. The metal he strikes sings, not with song, but with teeth. Sparks leap, shatter, vanish. Around him, the walls drip with soot and old carvings. You see shapes scratched into the black stone. A wolf devouring the sun. A serpent wrapped around a world. A sword driven into the belly of a tree. The air tastes of salt and smoke. Each tool in the room hums slightly, as if aware. The man does not speak. He doesn't need to. His body speaks. His breath speaks. Even the hammer, heavy and worn, speaks with each strike. The blade he is shaping now is different. Not a raider's axe, not a fisherman's hook, a sword, long, plain, silent. But you feel its name even before it's born. War. Not the kind that shouts and spills blood for spoils. The kind that comes quietly. The kind that changes people before they even lift a weapon. A small door creaks. The boy enters. Not the same boy as before, or perhaps only changed by what he now carries within. His hand still bears the faint trace of the cut. The wound has scabbed. Beneath it, something pulses. He does not speak either. He only watches. The forge fills with breath and fire. Then, without a word, the man places a stone before the boy. Not for sitting, for kneeling. The boy obeys. The hammer slows. The blade is glowing now, not red, but a strange, deep gold. It drinks the light around it. It hums in time with the forge, or maybe in time with the boy's heart. The man presses the blade gently to the anvil and leaves it to cool. Then, for the first time, he turns toward the boy. He holds out a small bundle, leather, wrapped tight, fastened with sinew. The boy takes it, unwraps it. Inside, a whetstone, a cloth, a loop of red cord. No weapon, just the means to tend one. The boy does not frown. He understands. To carry steel is to carry silence. To sharpen a blade is to ask it a question. To clean it is to remember what it has seen. The man says nothing. He only returns to the anvil. The blade is almost ready, but not yet. The boy rises. He looks to the wall of carvings, and one catches his eye. A pair of hands holding fire, the flames licking upward toward a crown made of thorns. You watch him raise a finger and trace the flame. He does not flinch when it burns him, just a flicker. Then stillness. Outside, the wind rises. The forge breathes deeper, and the sword sleeps on the anvil, dreaming of the first throat it will taste. A candle flickers. Your breath slows. You pass another closed door, wooden, heavy, ringed with iron nails. But it's not the door that matters. It's the hush behind it. Not silence, but a pause, a waiting, a breath held by something large and ancient that remembers what feasting once meant. The door creaks open. Warmth rushes out, thick with smoke and roasted meat, the clatter of tankards, the wet slap of boots on stone. The mead hall stretches wide and tall, held aloft by pillars carved to resemble beasts mid-snarl. Bear, stag, wolf, dragon, each mouth frozen open, as if the stories they once told still echo in the beams. Your boots sink slightly in straw scattered across the floor. For comfort, or for catching blood, it's hard to say. The hearth is vast. Flames leap high, casting gold and shadow over the circle of men and women gathered around its warmth. They drink deep. They slap backs. They sing. And above it all, the wolf, hung on the far wall, draped like a banner, its pelt vast and gray, its eyes replaced by polished onyx. The mouth is open, not in snarl, but laughter. That's how it looks, as though it finds all of this very amusing. You catch sight of the boy, older now, or simply changed. He sits near the edge of the fire's reach, mead untouched, eyes scanning the room with quiet hunger. The red cord from the forge is tied around his wrist now, a soft circle of warning and promise. He is watching, listening, as all stories do before they pounce. The skald rises from his seat. Again. It seems he is always where the breath between songs lives. His voice cuts the laughter, not sharply, but cleanly. He tells of wolves who walk as men, cloaked in fur and moonlight, who drank from the skulls of kings and vanished with the frost. He tells of feasts where names were stolen, where a knife could make or unmake memory, where a promise made in drink could bend fate like a sapling in storm. The hall quiets. Even the fire leans in. The boy does not blink. The skald reaches into his coat and pulls free a scrap of hide. Dark. Thin. On it, etched in soot and oil, a single rune, one you've seen before, curled beneath a painted moon. He hands it to the boy. This time, there are no warnings, only a whisper. Wear it when the moon forgets your name. The boy places the hide against his chest. No one else notices. Or perhaps they pretend not to. A new song rises, crude, joyful, roaring with boast and broken verse. Tankards are raised. Mead sloshes over hands and beards and tables. But you notice something else. Near the door, a figure stands, wrapped in wolfskin, real, wet, fresh. No face is visible beneath the hood, only the faint glint of teeth behind fur. It does not speak. It does not move. But the boy sees it too, and he does not look away. He lifts his mead at last, not to drink, to mirror. Across the fire, the wolf thing nods. Then it turns and vanishes into smoke. The laughter returns. The music swells. The walls shake with cheer. But beneath it, you feel the shift. The boy's shoulders have squared. His fingers drum against the tankard, not to the rhythm of the song, but to a different beat, the beat of decision. The wolf's eyes, though glass, still gleam. And somewhere in the beams above, a raven clicks its beak. The breeze shifts. You're still there. The silence still hums, but now it carries a hollow tone, like the space between two heartbeats. You stand on frost-bitten ground again. The hall is behind you now, its warmth, its laughter, its shadow of the wolf. Before you, the beach. The tide has pulled back, revealing the wet gleam of black stones, slick and glinting under a dull gray sky. Breath hangs heavy in the air. Your boots press softly into sand darkened with old stories. And there, it waits. The longship, not moving, not idle, but listening. Its hull curves like a question, or a blade. Each plank fitted with care, shaped from pine felled in silence, seasoned by wind and time. No part of this vessel is accidental. It is as deliberate as an oath, as quiet as a funeral hymn. To look upon it is to understand. This is no mere tool. This is the answer to longing. The boy stands nearby. He's dressed for voyage now, not in armor, but in layers of wool and leather, his wrists wrapped, his belt fastened with bone. The red cord still loops his wrist, faded now by mead and sweat. But it holds. The scrap of rune hide rests beneath his tunic, close to his heart. He approaches the ship with reverence, not as a child boards a toy, nor as a warrior climbs a beast. He touches the prow like one presses a brow to stone, forehead to forehead. One breath. The ship accepts him. You see others gather. The woman with the crescent moon mark smears new ash across her jaw. One of the older men tightens the bindings on his axe. The forge hand, arms burned with soot and song, fastens a small iron hammer to the mast. No one speaks. They do not need to. The ritual has begun. There are no drums, no horns, only the wind, and the steady creak of the sea drawing closer. They press their hands to the hull, one by one, and whisper names, not of gods, but of those left behind. Mothers, sons, brothers, fields that will grow without them, doors that will never open again. Each name is offered like kindling, and the ship listens. You move closer and see a carving near the keel, something you hadn't noticed before. A spiral, curled tightly, then unfurling outward like breath. Beneath it, a wolf's eye. Beneath that, a single drop, tear or blood. It's not clear. It glows faintly in the damp, as if the salt air has kept it alive. The boy presses his thumb to it. His breath catches. Then the ship creaks again, louder now, as if responding. They push. Together. The longship slides forward across the wet stones, slow but willing, like a creature returning to its element. Salt sprays up in cold kisses. The prow meets the first wave with a shudder, not of resistance, but recognition. The sea knows this shape. It has missed it, and it hungers. Oars are placed, shields tied along the sides, not just for battle, but for story. Each one a mark of a soul who dares the edge of the map. You climb aboard. The boy follows. He does not look back. He only lifts one hand and touches the mast, not as a sailor, not as a soldier, but as someone asking a question only the sea can answer. And already the wind begins to whisper. You cannot tell if it says go or beware. Nothing moves, not even you, but the story continues. You pass another closed door. This one isn't built of wood or iron. It is made of sky. The horizon folds itself into silence as the last thread of sun sinks beneath the waves. Not fast, but like a heartbeat slipping out of rhythm, like warmth slowly forgetting the shape of your name. The world dims in slow strokes. Gold fades into gray, then only blue. The longship rides low in the water, its weight evenly held by the sea's indifference. You are aboard. So is the boy. So are they all. But nothing about this voyage feels shared. There's too much silence between each person, as though everyone is listening to a different part of the wind. The oars creak. 1, 2, 1, 2. Rhythm keeps the cold away. For now. The boy sits near the middle of the ship, knees drawn close, shoulders tucked against the side. He does not speak, but his eyes are open, wide as the sky. They drink the darkness greedily, as if trying to memorize every crack in it before it vanishes. Above him, the mast groans. The sail catches just enough wind to hiss, like breath over a wound. Someone hums, a low, broken thing. No melody, just shape. And from it, something takes form. The boy reaches under his tunic and touches the piece of hide, the rune the skald gave him. It's warmer now, as though it knows it's moving farther from the land it once belonged to. The sea rolls under you, not gently, not cruelly, just honestly. The ship creaks with every swell, not fearfully, but like an old throat remembering a song. You lean against the wood and listen. To sail is not only to move, it is to grieve, to drift from one version of yourself into another, to become a bridge between the past and the not yet. The stars are coming out now, one by one, not bright, but sure. They do not speak, but they do point. The woman with the ash-marked face rises. She walks slowly toward the prow, where a small leather pouch is tied to the mast. She unties it, opens it, and withdraws something you cannot see. But when she casts it into the water, you hear it strike with a sound heavier than weight. A gift, an apology, an offering to whatever waits beneath. Then she speaks a name, not her own, not loudly, but the sea hears it, and accepts. The boy lowers his eyes. He does not know what to offer, but he does know what was taken from him. He closes his eyes, and lets the name form in silence. The sea nods. Far ahead, lightning flickers, not loud, not sharp, but enough to paint the clouds in momentary veins of light. No thunder follows, only the hush of distance. The raven flies above. Its wings cut the air like slow black scissors. It circles once, then vanishes. The wind thickens. The stars brighten. And every sound aboard, the slap of water, the stretch of rope, the groan of timber, begins to fold inward, like breath being held too long. To sail is not an act of distance. It is a forgetting, a peeling away of names, until only the hunger remains. The silence is heavier now. Later that night, the sky unravels. It does not roar. It unspools, slowly, thickly, like fabric soaked in ink. The stars vanish first, then the horizon. Then the wind forgets its direction, turning in on itself like a beast chasing its tail. You are on the ship, still. But now, it feels smaller. The sea has risen, not in height, but in voice. It moans. It groans. It gurgles through the boards with a language made of swallowed names. It presses against the longship like a hand testing for weakness, like it remembers that men once walked its surface and dared to speak of gods. The boy lies on his back, his hand on his chest, fingers clenched around the rune leather. His eyes are open, fixed on a sky that no longer shows him stars. A drop hits his cheek, then another. Rain, but not the gentle kind, the kind that knows what's buried beneath it. The oars are pulled in. No one needs to speak. The sea has taken over the command. The sail strains and flaps. It wails like a thing being torn in sleep. One of the ropes snaps, a sharp, biting sound like bones breaking in a story no one wants to hear again. A wave crashes broadside. The ship groans, not in fear, but in effort. The boy rolls to his side. He vomits. No shame, just salt. The woman with the ash-marked face ties herself to the mast. Her eyes scan the sea like she's searching for something. Not land, not rescue, but a shape she's always known would come for her in the dark. Another wave, this one taller, deeper, hungrier. It hits hard. The sky spins. Someone cries out. The ship rights itself, barely, and water pours over the edge like breath escaping a dying mouth. The storm is here now, truly, and it does not ask permission. It tears, it shakes, it drowns. Not bodies, not yet, but certainties. The raven is gone, or beneath the water, or never real. The boy crawls to the prow and grips the carved dragon head. It is slick, cold, living. Lightning tears across the sky. For one breathless moment, the sea is illuminated, and you see shapes. Not ships, not whales. Something deeper, larger, old. The drowned things that sleep beneath memory. The forge man is praying. You didn't think he would. but his lips move, quietly, desperately. His hands shake. The woman unties one wrist, leans out, and casts a second pouch into the sea. Another gift, another plea. But the sea is not moved. It never has been. The storm howls. Rain slaps the deck. Another rope tears free and snaps across the wood like a whip. Then, stillness. Not peace. The kind of stillness that only comes after something has been taken. The boy turns. One man is gone. No scream. No splash. Only the emptiness where he stood. The sea does not give him back. The woman nods, as if she knew, as if she warned him, as if the sea requires tribute, and someone must always pay. The ship drifts, rudderless, but upright. The sail sags, torn but whole enough to breathe. The crew huddles. No one speaks of the lost. The storm lingers like breath held too long in the lungs. But for now, only now, it waits. The boy stares down at the water. His hand still clenches the rune, but it feels heavier, as if soaked through, as if now it carries someone else's name. Ash drifts in the quiet. The silence still hums, but not from above. It comes from beneath, from below the hull, below the storm, below even the salt-thick bones of the drowned. A lull, a breath held too long, then finally exhaled. The sea is calm again, but it is not kindness. It is the stillness of something watching. The long ship drifts, sail torn but catching just enough to pull them forward. Water leaks through the seams in soft rhythm, as if the ship is weeping in time with the wind. The boy lies curled beside the mast, lips cracked, eyes half closed. He has not spoken since the storm. None of them have. But something shifts now. The light changes. Not brighter, not yet, but different, tinted. You rise, and so do the others. Slowly. A head, a shape. At first, it is nothing more than a smear on the horizon. Then it sharpens, low, dark, rising from the water like a shoulder or a blade. The ship tilts slightly, drawn to it, whether by current or fate, you cannot tell. An island. No flag, no smoke, no cry of gulls, no name. The woman with the crescent ash across her jaw narrows her eyes. She does not look pleased, but she does not speak against what must be. The ship scrapes into shallows. Oars push against rocks black with lichen and old barnacle. The men and women disembark, slow and quiet. Weapons are drawn, not in threat, but in habit. They leave the boy behind. He rises anyway. The sand beneath your feet is soft but cold, like skin pulled tight across something hollow. The beach is empty, but inland, something waits. Low trees cling to wind-blasted stone. A single path leads into the island's chest. It is not marked, but it is there. They walk. So do you. The boy follows last. The trees creak, not from wind, from memory, as if they remember footsteps. These exact ones. The path opens into a clearing. At the center, stones, not scattered, placed, deliberate. A circle, each one carved, not with runes, not clearly, but with marks, scratches, lines that only time can understand. One is cracked down the center, filled with moss like a wound that healed badly. The forge man walks to it. He kneels, removes something from his belt, a ring, not gold, not iron, bone. He places it on the stone and whispers a name, then returns to the circle's edge. The others follow. Each lays down something, a charm, a feather, a tooth, a broken chain. Always, a name follows. Always, a silence after. No one explains. The boy stands outside the circle. He holds nothing, until the woman approaches him. She offers a small cloth pouch. Inside, a bead. Red. Simple. He looks at her. She only nods. He walks forward, kneels, places the bead between the stones. But he says no name. Instead, he whispers a question. It is too soft to hear, but the stone hears it, and it does not crack. It glows, faint, brief, and then is still. You step back. The island exhales. A wind moves through the clearing, high and hollow, like a voice in a church long forgotten. The woman closes her eyes. One of the warriors wipes his axe. The boy looks up, and for the first time since the storm, he is not afraid. Not because the island is safe, but because it knows. And now it knows him. The raven returns. Just one. It lands on the tallest stone and does not speak. You pass another closed door. The silence is heavier now, not just in your chest, but in the air itself, as if the world is holding its breath for what comes next. The island has vanished behind you, wrapped again in mist. The longship cuts through water now more black than blue. The raven is gone. The sky does not move, but on the horizon, faint, then growing, a shape rises. A tower, stone, then walls. A monastery, clinging to the edge of a green coast like a prayer carved into a cliff. The sails tighten, the oars shift. No command is spoken, but you feel it. The tension, the promise, the inevitability. The boy stands now, near the prow. He watches the distant shore with a gaze that doesn't blink. The red bead still hangs near his chest, threaded onto the leather cord that holds the rune. It glints once as the clouds part, not from sunlight, but from something sharper. The woman with the crescent ash draws her blade. Not quickly. She does not brandish it. She remembers it. The ship glides closer, closer. Now you see them. The monks, robed figures in the fields, some walking, some bent in prayer, one kneeling by the water, perhaps drawing from it. His hand stills, his head lifts. He sees, and his body does not move, only his eyes widen. Then, the bell, not urgent, not panicked. One ring, then another, soft, hollow, the sound of warning given too late. Feet shuffle, voices rise. The monks scatter, robes trailing behind like wings without flight. The longship strikes land. The warriors leap down, not with rage, not with fire in their throats, but with a coldness that has been sharpened by hunger, by loss, by nights sleeping beside swords and stones. The woman leads, the boy follows. You drift with them through the grass, tall and wet, brushing at knees and hilts. The monastery doors loom ahead, heavy, iron-bound, meant to keep the outside out. But no door can hold back tide. They do not kick it down. They do not break it. They push, and it opens. Inside, stone floors, wooden benches, a small altar, candles still flickering, and monks, 5, maybe 6, gathered at the far end. One older, trembling, one clutching a wooden cross so tightly the skin of his knuckles splits. They say something, a language you almost remember. It is not a threat. It is not a prayer. It is a plea. But the warriors do not speak back. Not yet. Instead, they move through the chapel like mist, slow, sure, everywhere at once. The forge man lifts a hammer, not to strike a body, but to shatter a lock. A chest breaks open. Gold, icons, beads of glass and blood. The older monk falls to his knees, not in surrender, in grief. The woman approaches him. Her blade does not rise, but her eyes narrow, not cruelly, with memory. The boy stands at the threshold. He watches, then steps forward. past the warriors, past the monks, to the altar. He touches the wood, then the flame of one candle. It does not burn him, not this time. The monks weep, not all, just one. His tears land on the stone like rain that cannot change the tide. The forge man takes the icons. The others gather what can be carried. But no blood falls. Not yet. The woman turns to the boy. He meets her gaze. He does not flinch. Then, the bell again. Outside. Not rung. Not planned. Just ringing. Wild. High. Like a voice screaming its own name before it's swallowed by smoke. You look outside. The sky is darker. Not from cloud. From rising ash. You do not know who lit the fire. But already it spreads. The monks huddle near the altar. One prays in a language meant for mercy. One covers a younger one with his robe. The warriors retreat. Not in guilt. In timing. The boy follows. But before he steps outside, he turns. He sees the flame touch the walls. He hears the bell again, softer this time, and he whispers something. To no one. To everyone. To the flame. To the gods. To the drowned. You don't hear the words, only the weight of them. Then he is gone, and smoke claims the rest. A bell rings again, softer this time. You almost forget this isn't a memory. The wind has shifted. The sea is behind you now. But its taste still lingers on your tongue, salt and soot. The monastery stands silent behind you. Or rather, what remains. The roof has begun to sag. The bell tower has collapsed inward, folding like a hand that reached too late. And the flames? Gone. Only smoke now. Thin. Gray. Clinging to the air like breath too stubborn to leave. You walk the path back into it. Alone. Not because they told you to, but because something pulls you there. The boy stands in the courtyard, unmoving. His face is streaked with ash, his lips pressed into a line too thin to speak through. In one hand, he still holds the red-beaded cord. The other hangs loose, blackened at the fingertips. Not burned, touched, marked. The woman is gone. The others are packing the longship, stowing the gold, preparing to leave the island behind. But the boy stays. And so do you. The chapel doors hang open now, one broken on its hinges, the other sagging like a shoulder heavy with grief. You step inside, and the heat swells. Not hot, old, trapped. The heat of what no longer burns but refuses to grow cold. The altar is still there, but the candles have melted into puddles of wax that look like bones. Ash covers everything, the pews, the stone, the robes of the monks, now still, now hollow. No blood, no screams, just stillness. You step forward. The ash kicks up around your feet like dry snow, rising in puffs that don't fall back down. On the altar, something has been left behind, not taken. A page, blackened at the edges, curling. But words remain. Not many. Just one line, scrawled in ink too fresh to have come from the fire. The fire remembers every name. You do not know who wrote it. Perhaps the boy. Perhaps the monk who fell to his knees before the gold. Perhaps someone who was never meant to be here. You run your fingers over the words. They smear, not vanish, only soften, like grief. You hear footsteps behind you. Soft. The boy enters. His face is unreadable, but he walks with purpose, to the altar, to the ash, to the place where the fire whispered its last breath. He kneels, not as a priest, not as a raider, as someone who has lost something and still carries it. He does not weep. Instead, he takes the red bead and places it on the stone. Beside it, he sets a small item wrapped in cloth. He unwraps it. The carving, the dragon. You remember it. Birch, bone, time worn by fingers. He lays it gently into the ash, not as tribute, as memory. The two objects sit side by side, bead and beast, red and pale. Then the boy reaches into his coat and draws out the bark rune, the one the skald gave him, painted with the hook beneath the moon. He holds it to his lips and breathes. A single exhale. The ash stirs, just slightly, and then he lets the rune fall. It lands silently. The altar accepts it, and the chapel darkens, not with smoke, but with silence. The boy stands. He looks at you, and though he does not speak, you know what he is saying. It is time. Time to leave what was not yours. Time to carry what still is. You follow him out. The sun is trying to break through, but it will not. Not here. Not yet. You walk away. And behind you, the chapel sighs one final time. Ash drifts in the quiet. The silence is heavier now. But it isn't silence anymore. It's the sound of counting, not aloud. No voice dares rise above this moment, but you can hear it anyway. Metal against metal, gold on wood, the hush of wealth too heavy to breathe under. And breath, yes, shallow, careful, as if even air might try to steal its share. You're back aboard the longship. It rocks gently on black water, the waves still thick with the scent of burned land. They are counting the treasure, not in joy, not in awe, in silence. Because gold like this doesn't belong to the living. It clinks into bowls, wraps into cloth, vanishes into pouches hung from belts. Icons turned sideways so the faces no longer look, crosses pulled from walls, goblets too delicate for use, beads threaded onto new leather, coins marked with unfamiliar kings. The boy sits apart from it all, his eyes half-lidded, shoulders hunched, hands open on his knees. His palms are smudged with ash. And something else. Blood. Not from battle, not yet, but from the weight of what he carried out of that chapel. From kneeling too long. From letting go too deeply. A man holds up a necklace, thick gold links threaded with a seal of ivory. "Worth 3 winters," he mutters. "4," says another. The forge man grunts. "It'll buy death faster than bread." Laughter. But it dies quickly. Even the sea knows better than to laugh too loud at stolen light. The woman with the crescent ash watches them. She sharpens her blade, slow strokes, rhythm steady, not in readiness, in warning. The boy watches her. The blade. The gold. And then he speaks. His voice is quiet, graveled. "Do you ever put it back?" They stop. Look at him. Say nothing. He continues. "When it's too much. When it doesn't feel like yours." The man with the necklace squints. "What do you mean?" But the boy does not answer. Instead, he rises. He walks to the side of the ship. He takes something from his coat. You see the glint, recognize the red, the bead. He holds it once in his palm, then drops it. The splash is small, swallowed immediately. One man scoffs. "Waste." The woman does not scoff. She nods once, and slowly unties a ring from her wrist. Bronze, smooth, marked with a scratched-in rune. She drops it too. No sound. No farewell. Just gone. The man who scoffed looks away. The forge man mutters, "Gold teeth won't chew what waits." And with that, the counting resumes. But now it's different. A little slower. A little more uncertain. Because they remember suddenly that wealth once belonged to mouths that prayed, and hands that trembled, and eyes that shut under falling beams. The boy returns to his place. The woman glances at him. There is no smile, but there is something near it, the faintest easing of her shoulders, a nod that doesn't move her head, only her heart. and in the quiet, the ship leans forward again, into wind, into water, into whatever comes next. Not burdened, but changed. And behind them, far on the horizon, the last curl of smoke folds into cloud. The story does not pause. It presses onward. You almost forget this isn't a memory. The silence still hums, but this time, it isn't yours. It belongs to her. You don't see her at first. Only the shore, low and pale beneath the morning mist, and a line of thin trees leaning into the sea as though listening. The longship drifts toward it, not with purpose, but with the weariness of something that has survived too many nights. No fanfare marks their landing. No sentry calls out. Only a soft thud of hull meeting earth and the scrape of boots disembarking. They don't raid. They don't plunder. This place is already hollow, abandoned, perhaps, or left behind too long. The grass is tall and brittle. The wind moves it in thin waves. You follow the boy and the others through it, past a stone wall half cracked by frost, toward a settlement that barely clings to its own name. A few buildings, sagging and still. A well, choked with leaves, and silence. Until her. She steps from behind a door. Small, barefoot, 10 winters maybe, pale hair tangled across her eyes. She says nothing, just watches. In her hand, a blade. Not raised, not shaking, just held. Not as a threat, as a fact. The warriors pause. The boy stares at her. Something flickers in his face. Not pity, not confusion. Recognition. The girl holds the blade loosely, like something she found and forgot to put down. Its edge is chipped. The leather on the hilt is peeling, but it gleams, just a little. The forge man steps forward. The woman shakes her head. No words pass between them, but he steps back. The boy walks toward her, slowly, each footstep parting the grass like pages in a forgotten book. The girl watches him come. She does not retreat. She does not blink. He kneels in front of her. He says only, "Who gave it to you?" She doesn't speak, but her eyes move. Toward a house, half collapsed, door open. The wind shifts, and the smell follows. Smoke. Old blood. No one buried the body. The girl grips the blade tighter. The boy nods. He does not take it from her. He does not tell her what to do. He reaches beneath his tunic, draws out the rune, the one with the hook beneath the moon. He offers it, not into her hand, but onto the ground between them. She stares at it, then back at him. Then, finally, she kneels. She places the blade beside it. Not surrender, not trust, only stillness. She says, "I don't know how to use it." The boy answers, "Neither did I." A wind moves through the trees. The woman with the crescent mark steps forward. She lifts the blade, not to keep it, to test it, balance, weight, age. Then she passes it back, to the girl, gently. Then she picks up the rune and places it around the girl's neck. The others begin to move, quiet, respectful. The forge man nods. One by one they pass the girl. None speak, but a coin is left near her feet, a scrap of cloth, a piece of dried meat, a carved bone. And when they return to the longship, no one asks who she was, or what she will become, because they know. You turn back. She stands in the grass, blade in one hand, rune on her chest, watching the sea. She does not wave, but she remembers you. A candle flickers. Your breath slows. The silence is heavier now, not from absence, but from weight. From the press of names that once mattered, now echoing like hollow bells through frostbitten stone. The longship is docked again. this time beneath cliffs tall enough to scrape the sky. Their faces are streaked with ice, and the wind here bites not with hunger, but with memory, as if it has been waiting a long time to be heard. You climb the path carved into the rock, step by step, slower now. Your legs remember the sea. So do the boys. He follows the woman, the forge man behind them, the others close, but not too close. The silence between them is not distance, it is respect. At the top of the cliff, a hall, not wide, not fierce, but proud. Its roof is steep, shingled with stone. Its doors bear no carving, no banner, only iron hinges that weep rust into the snow. And within, a king, or what's left of one. You enter slowly. The boy hesitates, then steps through. The hall smells of pine and smoke and something else, something dry and old, like the skin of a story that has not been told aloud in many winters. He lies on a raised bed of furs, surrounded by shadows, crownless, bareheaded, a fur cloak wrapped tight, hands folded over his chest as though in prayer or penance. His breath is shallow, but he breathes, and as you watch, his eyes open, not fully, just enough. The woman steps forward. She kneels, not low, only just enough to say, "I am still myself." He sees her. He tries to speak. The words come out like fog from a dying fire. "I dreamed the smoke." The woman nods. "We saw it." His gaze turns toward the boy. "You," he says, "you carry it. The ash, the silence." The boy does not understand, not fully, but he kneels. He reaches into his coat and draws the rune again. The king's eyes widen. "Scald's mark," he murmurs. He lifts a hand, fingers trembling like flame before wind. "Put it there." The boy places the rune in the king's palm. The king closes his hand around it, tight, then winces. A drop of blood escapes between his knuckles. The rune glows faintly, then fades. He smiles. It is not a warm smile, but it is full. "Good," he says. "Then the fire is not wasted." He falls silent. The boy waits. So does the woman. Then, from the dark corner, a voice. "The Jarls will come." It's a man, tall, thin, robed in gray. His voice is cracked like old parchment. "They'll see the king is failing. They'll want the crown." The woman turns her head slightly. "Let them come." The king chuckles once, a dry sound, sharp at the edge. "You'll keep them honest." He looks at the boy. Will he? She does not answer, but the look in her eyes is a door closed gently but firmly. Outside, wind claws at the beams. The king sighs. "I burned the fields, in my dream, not to destroy, but to make way." His eyes close, and this time, they do not reopen. No sobs, no prayers, only the creak of wood, and the boy, still kneeling. The woman reaches over, closes the king's hand around the rune, then covers it with his own. He will not wear the crown now, but he will take the fire with him. They rise. The forge man lowers his head, and the boy speaks, softly, as though the words are not his, but borrowed. "We leave not to conquer, but to carry." The wind still howls, but the silence hums louder. You pass another closed door. You almost forget this isn't a memory. The night is thick, not dark, too many torches for that, but thick with mead breath, smoke, and the long shadow of waiting. The hall is full, the rafters groaning with sound. Wood creaks under boots and laughter. The air is hot with bodies pressed too close. Roasting meat spins on iron hooks. A harp plucks somewhere in the back, off tune, too fast, and no one seems to mind. The long tables sag with weight. Platters of fat glisten under golden light. Cups spill and are filled again, and voices rise in waves, stories shouted, boasts repeated, songs hammered flat by ale and memory. You sit at the edge of it. So does the boy. He stares at the revelry with eyes that don't drink. There's a hollow at his center tonight. Not empty, just full of something no food can touch. The woman is across from him, back straight, knife in hand, not drawn, but present. Always present. The forge man is already on his second jug. His laughter shakes the bench. Others join him. Raiders and hunters, shield wives and smiths, their arms scarred, their chests bare despite the cold. The boy turns his head and sees a man beside him carving something into the table. Deep, slow grooves. A spiral. Familiar. The man never speaks, just carves. The spiral never ends. A horn of mead is placed in front of the boy. He doesn't reach for it. He listens. A new voice rises. The skald. Of course he is here. He stands atop the far table, wobbling slightly, but his voice is clear. Too clear. It slices through the noise without raising its tone. He speaks of the dead, not in sorrow, but in awe. He names each fallen man not by how they died, but what they dreamed. One dreamed of climbing a mountain that cursed his name. One dreamed of tasting the sea until his tongue turned silver. One dreamed of silence and got it too soon. The laughter softens, but only for a breath. Then it swells again, louder, like denial growing teeth. The woman leans toward the boy. "This hall has no doors," she says. He frowns. "Of course it does." She shakes her head. "Not real ones, only walls." He glances around. The torches are burning too long. The meat never disappears. No one has stood in hours, and yet the food multiplies. The harp plays the same 3 notes. Over and over and over. The man still carves. The spiral deepens. The boy looks at his meat again. It hasn't gone warm. It hasn't cooled. It just is. He stands. No one notices. He walks through the hall, past the laughter, the songs, the carvings on the beams, past the skald, who does not look at him, only speaks louder, past the feast, to the far wall, where the torches flicker strangely. He reaches out and presses his hand to the wood. It ripples, not outward, inward. He steps through. No one sees him leave, except the woman. She rises silently, follows. You follow too. And as the noise fades behind you, you realize the feast will continue, forever. For those who stay. But not for him. Not for her. Not for you. The cold outside is sudden, sharp, real. He breathes it in like medicine. The stars do not move, but they seem cleaner here. The woman stands beside him. You saw it, she says. Yes. You left it. He nods, and for the first time in a long time, the mead on his breath is gone. A bell rings again, softer this time. The silence is heavier now, not because nothing moves, but because everything waits. You stand on a cold shore, where the stones are small and round, worn smooth by years of waves that do not ask permission. The sky hangs low, the clouds the color of old bone. In the distance, the sea is calm, but not kind. It holds its secrets close, cradled just beneath the surface. And she stands there, a woman, old, but not frail. Her back is straight. Her eyes are fixed on the horizon. She is weaving. A red thread, thin and frayed, pulled from a bundle clutched against her ribs. Her fingers move steadily, not fast, not slow, threading through a small loom lashed to 2 driftwood poles. Her breath forms clouds that scatter in the wind. Each line she pulls through is another day, each knot another night. Behind her, a cabin, low-roofed and sagging. Smoke curls from its chimney in uncertain strokes. A garden lies fallow beside it, dusted with frost. Inside that home, the hearth still burns. But she is not there. She is here, waiting. For a ship that left 5 years ago. No news, no body, no return, just silence. She hums as she weaves. The song has no melody, only shape, a pattern, a rhythm passed down through hands older than hers ever were. She sings not to remember, but to keep from forgetting. You draw closer. The red thread glows faintly in the weak light. Beside her, in the dirt, lies a bundle, cloth-wrapped, long, narrow. You know what it holds before you see it. A sword, never drawn, left behind, just in case. The boy approaches, not a child now, not quite a man. He says nothing, only kneels. She doesn't look at him. She doesn't need to. "You're not him," she says. "No." He had a laugh like spilled water. "I know." She weaves. Another knot. Another breath. The boy reaches into his coat, pulls out the carving, the dragon. He has carried it longer than he remembers. It no longer belongs to him. He places it at her feet. She does not thank him, but she stops weaving. She picks it up, cradles it in one hand. The song fades, then returns. Softer now. A raven circles above. She looks up, for the first time, and her eyes shine. Not with hope, not with joy, but with recognition. Not of the bird, of the silence. The boy rises. She says, "Tell him, I kept the fire." He nods, though he knows no message will reach where that ship has gone. Still, he carries her words. As the dead carry dreams. He walks back toward the shore. The sea waits. The boat waits. You follow. And behind you, she returns to her loom. The thread stretches long behind her now. Each knot a heartbeat. Each line a name. Each breath a farewell. The silence is heavier now. The silence still hums, but now it's threaded with something sharper. Sight. Not yours. Not entirely. But you feel it. Behind you. Above you. Beneath the folds of cloud. A gaze that sees through bone and blood and story. A gaze that does not blink. The wind has shifted. It brushes through the sails with a strange urgency, as if trying to move you faster than you're willing to go. The longship rides steady, but something in its rhythm has changed. Each creak feels like a question. Each wave, a warning. The boy stands near the mast, one hand resting on the worn wood. His eyes scan the horizon, but you know, he sees inward. He hasn't spoken since the shore. The carving is gone. The weight of absence rests differently than loss. The forgeman walks the length of the ship. Quiet. His tools are strapped down now, tight and unmoving. His hammer is wrapped in cloth. His belt carries no fire. Even he feels it. That tension in the world. That watching. The woman sits alone, sharpening her blade. Not for battle, for clarity. The edge gleams with each pass. Her ash mark has faded, worn down by salt and sleep and questions that cannot be unasked. And then you see it. Not in the sky, not in the water, in the tree. It rises from the sea where no tree should grow, a massive thing, pale and twisted, its roots lost in the waves, its branches reaching into mist. It should not be here, but it is. The ship slows, not by choice, by gravity. They drop oars without speaking. The boy steps forward, and the raven is there. Perched on the prow, head tilted. It croaks once, then again, and flies toward the tree. Without waiting, the ship follows. drawn like iron to a lodestone. As you approach, you see them. Small shapes in the branches, bones, charms, runes carved into bark that still bleeds, eyes painted into knots, some open, some stitched shut. This is not a tree, it is a watcher, and in its highest branch, you see him. One eye, hooded, still. He does not move. He does not need to. The boy kneels. So do the others. Even the forge man. Even the woman. No words are spoken. Only breath. You step closer and feel the weight of centuries press against your skin like cold ash. Then, a whisper. Not from the man in the tree, but from inside you. A name. Not yours, but one you've been carrying. The boy hears it too. He opens his mouth to speak it, but no sound comes. The raven lands beside him, pecks once at the deck, then drops something at his feet, a small bead, black, simple. He picks it up, holds it tight, and suddenly the world turns. Not fully, just enough to shift the sky. The tree is gone. The sea stretches wide again. The mist closes behind. But the bead remains, as does the feeling of being seen, not judged, but known. And that is heavier. The boy does not speak, but his shoulders rise. He is no longer alone, because now he knows. The gods are watching, even if they do not speak, even if they no longer save. They see. And to be seen by such eyes is its own kind of fate. You almost forget this isn't a memory. Later that night, the moon does not rise. Not yet. The sky is waiting for something, and so are you. The longship has made land again, not on foreign shore, not for conquest or coin. This place feels still, too still. The trees do not move. The wind holds its breath. Even the stars seem reluctant to show themselves. You walk behind them, the boy, the woman, the forge man. They move without torches. They know the path, though none of them have stepped here before. The trail winds through a forest of old pine and stone. The ground is soft with moss, but every footfall still echoes, as though the earth remembers each one. Ahead, a clearing. A flat stone in the center, wide and worn smooth, ringed by stakes crowned with bones, feathers, braids of hair. Not decorations. Warnings. The forge man steps forward. His face is harder than before. His eyes hold no fire, just iron. He unwraps a cloth bundle from his back. Inside, the sword. The one from the forge. The one shaped in silence. The one that cooled in a boy's breath, but never drew blood. Until now. The boy watches. The forge man lays the sword on the stone, then calls out, voice low but steady. Come. At first, nothing. Then, a figure steps into the clearing. An old man, bent, barefoot. His clothes simple. His face shadowed beneath a hood, but his hands gleam in the starlight. One is wrapped in bandage. The other drips something dark. He says nothing, but walks toward the stone. The forge man says, "You know the price." The old man nods. From behind him, another figure appears. A boy, younger than the one we know, maybe 7, maybe less. His eyes are wide, not frightened, not yet, just waiting for someone to tell him why he's here. The woman steps forward. She kneels in front of him, says nothing, just holds out a small carving, the shape of a horse. He takes it. The forge man turns back to the sword. He places his hand over the hilt, then looks to the old man. Blood for blood, you took. I did, the old man says. You owe. I do. No anger passes between them, only gravity. The old man walks to the stone. He does not kneel. He lays his own blade, short, curved, cruel, beside the forge man's sword, then steps back. The forge man takes the curved blade, hands it to the woman. She wipes it clean, and does not return it. The sword remains. The boy, our boy, steps forward. He lifts the forged sword from the stone. It is lighter than he expected, but heavier than he hoped. He turns and hands it to the child. The child looks up, takes it, barely holds its weight, then lowers it again. The boy kneels beside him. "You don't have to carry it yet," he whispers. "But when you do, you carry it with both hands." The child nods. The wind shifts. The bones above the stakes rattle. One falls. The woman picks it up, hands it to the old man. He looks at it. His lips part, as if to speak, but he only nods, then vanishes into the trees. No one follows. Not yet. The child is taken by the hand, led toward the camp. He doesn't look back. The sword is left behind, just for tonight. The forge man stares at it, then at the sky, then at the boy. "You gave him something," he says. The boy nods. "But something was taken." The boy looks at his hand, still stained, still open, still waiting. "Was it enough?" he asks. The forge man doesn't answer, but the wind does. It finally begins to move. The trees breathe again. The moon begins to rise, and in the clearing, the stone sleeps between two blades. Nothing moves, not even you, but the story continues. The silence is heavier now, but beneath it, something cracks. Not loudly, not all at once, like ice splitting slowly in the belly of a frozen lake. The sound felt in the soles before the ears. The world has entered that breath between two seasons, one fading, one not yet begun. You walk across a field of snow packed hard by wind and boot. The sky above is low and gray, a bruise waiting to spread. Ahead, smoke, not the towering kind. This is tighter, darker, the breath of fire where it should not be. The boy walks beside the woman. He says nothing, but his shoulders are square. His eyes don't scan anymore. They lock. He doesn't search for meaning. He walks toward it. The forge man follows behind, the curved blade, the one taken from the blood for debt ritual, sheathed but restless. You can hear it knock gently against his leg with every step. And then, over the rise, it appears. A village, built low, half dug into the hills, roofs piled with snow so thick they look buried rather than protected. But fire lives here, not warmth. Flame. Something burns in the center. You see movement, figures, not monks, not farmers, warriors, but not your own. Their cloaks are foreign, their helmets rounded. One has gold filigree along the jaw. Another wears a necklace of red stones and teeth. You recognize none of the symbols, but their posture speaks plainly. This is not a place of greeting. It is a place of warning. The woman halts. The boy halts. The snow beneath them does not give way. It hardens, as if bracing. One of the strangers steps forward. He speaks. The language is close, close enough to taste, but not close enough to trust. The woman answers with silence. Another man raises a hand, palm out, not threatening. Still, you feel it, a single blink, and someone will fall. The boy does not draw a weapon. He draws breath and steps forward. The woman grabs his shoulder, not hard, but firm. He looks at her and nods. They walk forward together. Together. You follow. When they stop, they're within reach, one breath away from steel. The man with the necklace speaks again, slower this time. "Why are you here?" The woman says, "The fire wandered. We followed it." The man laughs, short and sharp. "The fire was ours. The woman gestures to the smoke rising behind him. To whom does it belong now? Silence. Then snow begins to fall. Fat, slow flakes, like feathers shaken from some celestial cloak. They touch skin, hair, helmets. No one moves. The boy lifts his gaze, and in that moment, the fire behind the strangers roars higher, not by wind, by something deeper. A cry, animal, human, both, breaks from the hill. A horn, yours. Too late to stop it. Steel flashes. The line breaks. The fight begins. Not long, not clean. You hear the forge man roar. You see the woman spin, blade low and wet. The boy does not reach for a weapon. He grabs a torch, flaming, and hurls it into the stranger's fire. It catches, explodes. Fire meets fire, and the snow melts all at once. Steam rises, thick, choking. You can't see, only hear. One voice, his, calling a name, not yours, not theirs, but the name carved into the rune, now gone. You rush forward. The steam clears. Bodies lie twisted in the snow, steaming like sacrifice. The boy kneels, a cut on his brow, one hand on the curved blade, the other on his chest. The strangers are gone, but so are two of yours. The woman wipes her blade. No pride, no grief, only the rhythm of surviving. She kneels beside the boy, and for the first time, speaks without edge. You didn't flinch. He whispers, I didn't know how. She looks at him. You will. A candle flickers. Your breath slows. The silence is heavier now, not from death, that came and passed, but from what lingers after, like breath in a mouth that no longer speaks, like the stillness in a blade returned to its sheath. The snow is gone, melted by flame, trampled by boots, stained by blood already fading to black. In its place, mud, mist, and memory, and rain. It falls softly, steadily, not a storm, not a flood, just enough to wash, to whisper, to write. The boy walks alone now, following a creek that winds behind the ruined village. His shoulders are wrapped in a thin cloak, soaked through. His fingers twitch every so often, as if remembering the heat of the torch he threw. He does not speak. The woman watches from a distance, arms crossed, blade cleaned, eyes hooded. The forge man sits nearby, repairing a length of broken chain. No one asks what it held. You walk beside the boy. You hear what he hears, the rain tapping leaves, the stream speaking in tongues too old to carry through language, the occasional crow, not the raven, calling from a pine tree like it's laughing at the smoke still drifting from the hill. He crouches beside a rock, smooth, wide, damp, and reaches into the pouch at his belt. He pulls out a shard of bone, long, flat, sharpened on one edge, a carving tool, the kind the skald once used. You had not seen him take it. You don't ask when he learned to use it. He leans close, begins to carve. The rain doesn't stop him. It does not fall harder. It makes room. He scratches slowly, deeply, each movement deliberate. A single rune begins to form. Not the hooked moon. A new one, wider, spiraled inward, but broken at one end. A spiral that could not complete. A story interrupted. A name whispered and then silenced. You recognize it. The name of the one who did not return from the fire. He does not cry, but his hands shake. Not from cold, from holding it in too long. The woman steps closer. She kneels on the opposite side of the stone, and with her own blade, not to harm, but to mirror, she carves another line beside his. Simple. A straight stroke downward, then a curve leftward. The old sign for protection, not magic. Memory. She does not speak. She does not need to. When she finishes, she presses her palm to the mark, then leaves. The boy stays. He keeps carving. By the time he finishes, the rain has deepened, but it doesn't wash the runes away. It only darkens them, sets them into the stone, as though the sky itself is ink. You kneel beside him. You reach out and touch the symbol. It hums, not sound, not light. A vibration, small, constant, steady. He notices. He places his hand over yours, not to stop you, to include you. The forge man calls from the trees. Time to go. The boy nods once, then stands. But before he leaves, he draws a circle around the rune with his fingertip. Not carved, just drawn. It will fade. But he needed to see it. The world does not wait. But the rain follows him as he walks. Gentle, endless, etching runes into every leaf, every stone, every name. The breeze shifts. You're still there. You pass another closed door. Not one you can touch, one you carry. It swings behind your ribs as you breathe, opening and closing with every step the boy takes toward the field. The trees end abruptly, and in their place, grass. Low, wind-beaten, broken in places where feet have passed too often. The ground here remembers war, and war remembers who did not return. You hear the horns first, low, distant, not frantic, practiced. The boy hears them too. He turns to the woman. She's already fastening the leather across her chest. Her hair is bound tight. The ash mark across her cheek has been redrawn, not freshly but carefully, like a name traced over a grave. The forge man joins them. He carries no hammer now, only the curved blade from the old man, shaped like a question, sharpened into an answer. The boy adjusts his belt. No sword, just a knife. The same one once held by a girl on a quiet shore. They walk together, over a low ridge, and there, below, the others gather, rows forming, circles breaking. The shield wall. You've heard it spoken of like myth. How it holds, how it breathes, how it breaks. Men press shoulder to shoulder, arms locked, shields rim to rim. Not grand shields, not painted stories. These are scuffed, dented, stitched with leather where axes have already kissed them once too close. The boy stands at the back. He watches. He does not move forward. Not yet. Opposite, another line, another wall, another silence. No speeches are given. The horn blows again, and the wall walks, not runs, not charges, walks, because fear cannot survive in rhythm. The woman joins the line. So does the forge man. You see others press in, familiar faces, some from the ship, some who have never spoken a word aloud, all moving like a single body preparing to be torn. The space between the lines shrinks, 20 paces, 10, 5, a cry, and then impact. The sound is not sharp, it is full, like ribs caving under pressure, like wood snapping in snow, like the end of breath. Shields buckle, axes find gaps, teeth clench, boots slip, mud drinks, and the wall holds, until it doesn't. A scream rises, not of pain, but surprise. A shape pushes through, large, armored, roaring. A wedge splits the shield wall. The center buckles. A man falls, then another. The boy watches. His breath fastens in his throat, and he runs, not to the back, to the breach. He leaps over a broken shield, finds the space, stands in it. The gap was wide. Now it is smaller. He does not lift a sword. He does not shout. He braces. A man swings for him. He ducks, slashes with the knife, across thigh, then neck. The man drops. Another comes. And again, he holds. Others close around him, reforming the wall, a new rhythm, a new sound. The forge man roars. The woman grits her teeth, knocks a helmet off with her shield edge, then steps into place beside the boy. He nods. She does not return it. But she does not leave. The line holds. The enemy falters, retreats. But the wall doesn't chase. It breathes. It bleeds. It endures. When it is done, the field is quiet. Bodies lie in pieces. Not just theirs. Yours too. The boy's face is streaked with sweat, blood, something else. He still holds the knife. But now, it shakes. The forge man lays a hand on his shoulder. It is enough. No song will be sung for this fight. No skald will name it in the mead hall. But the boy stood in the break, and because of that, the wall lived. The silence is heavier now. The silence still hums, but now it hums in harmony. You hear it before you see it. A low chant, not loud, not urgent, just steady, layered. Human voices, weaving syllables like threads pulled through centuries. They rise and fall with the tide, echoing off the stone and returning changed. The longship approaches the shore. Not fast, not bold, quietly. The water is gray, flecked with sea foam and pieces of driftwood that look too much like bones. The island looms ahead, low, windswept, crowned with worn stone buildings wrapped in mist. There is no smoke, no fire, just the sound of singing and the chill of salt already clinging to your skin. Lindisfarne. The name sits heavy in the air, like a bell still ringing after the clapper has fallen. The boy stands at the prow, older now, not by years, by weight. His hands rest on the edge of the boat. He does not grip it. He listens. To the chant, to the gulls, to the breath between each wave. The woman is behind him. The ash mark on her cheek is faded again. She does not redraw it. She holds no blade in her hand. Yet somehow she feels more dangerous than ever. The ship scrapes shore. No one rushes off. They step slowly, one by one, as though entering a sacred place. Even now, even after what they've done before. The monks are visible near the main abbey, gathered like birds in black robes, huddled in a semicircle before a broken altar. Some hold candles. Some weep. One sings. His voice cracks, but he keeps going. No one stops them. No one speaks. The boy walks forward. The forge man remains at the ship. The woman walks with him, not beside, but near. He steps into the abbey. No door, no guard. Just stone and smoke and the scent of old wax and older parchment. He sees them, the monks. He sees what remains of the chapel, cracked floor, shattered glass, a cross leaning in defeat against a column worn thin by prayer. He steps closer, and the singing does not stop. A monk looks up. Their eyes meet. No fear, only recognition. The boy kneels. He removes the rune from his chest, the one the skald gave him, the one that has followed fire and silence and blood. He places it on the altar. He doesn't speak, but the monk does. You carry many voices. The boy nods. And none of them are yours. The boy whispers, I know. The monk places a hand on the boy's head. Not in blessing, not in forgiveness, only in stillness, as if to say, this too is remembered. The singing softens. The others lower their candles. One reaches into the folds of his robe and draws out something small, a piece of glass, red, melted at the edge, a fragment from a window long since shattered. He offers it to the boy. The boy does not take it. He only presses his fingers to it, and then to the altar. Then he stands, turns, and leaves. Outside, the forge man lifts his eyes. He does not smile, but his shoulders ease. The woman meets the boy's gaze. Nothing is said, but a new wind blows across the island. The monks keep singing, not for him, not for the gods, just for the space between things. The space where ruin does not cancel beauty, where ashes remember how to hum. A bell rings again, softer this time. You pass another closed door. It swings silently behind your thoughts as the longship cuts through fog once more. The world ahead wrapped in white, as though the sea itself has forgotten how to finish the story. But the banner does not forget. You see it first, high above a hill that rises from the water like a sleeping god's shoulder. No smoke, no sound, just that cloth, tattered and black, stretched tight by wind. In its center, the white silhouette of a raven, wings outstretched, head turned slightly, not forward, not back, but sideways, as if listening. The boy sees it too. He stands at the prow again, but he is no longer just a passenger. His jaw is set. His hand rests near the hilt of the knife at his belt, not to draw it, but to remember it is there. The woman joins him. Her ash mark is gone. She doesn't need it anymore. They make landfall. The hill is steep, but the path is worn, footsteps still visible in the damp earth. Someone came this way recently. Many someones. They follow it, and you follow them. At the top, a circle of stones, wide and uneven. At its center, a child, small, barefoot. His cloak barely reaches his knees. His eyes are fixed upward, not at the visitors, not at the sea, at the banner. The raven flutters once. He does not flinch. The boy steps forward. He knows not to speak. The child notices him. Their eyes meet. There is something too old in the child's face. Not wisdom, not sorrow, stillness. The kind only born from having seen what should not be seen. The boy kneels beside him. "Why are you here?" The child doesn't answer. He lifts one arm, points, down the other side of the hill. You follow their gaze and see it. A battlefield. Fresh. Empty now, but not clean. Broken shields. Smashed helms. A banner half buried in the mud. Not the ravens. Something else. Torn. No bodies. But too many footprints. The woman steps beside them. "She was here," the boy says. The woman nods. "She left the child." "Why?" The wind catches the raven banner again. This time it moans. Not a voice, but a long breath that bends the grass. The child finally speaks. "They all ran." His voice is clear, cold. "I stayed." The woman crouches. "You carry no weapon." "I don't need one," he says. She tilts her head. "Why?" He answers simply, "Because I'm what comes after." They do not question him. They understand. The forge man arrives, slower now, eyes heavy. He looks at the banner, then at the child, and lays a blade at the foot of the stones. Not for war, for witness. The boy rises. He looks at the battlefield again, at the silence it left behind, and then at the raven. Its wings shiver. He lifts his hand, not to wave, to echo. The same angle, the same shape, the same listening. The child mirrors him. Two shadows fall across the stones, one old, one new, both too large for the bodies that cast them. You almost forget this isn't a memory. The silence still hums, but here, in the belly of stone and water, it begins to echo. You stand on a ridge of rock, overlooking a slender fjord that cuts the land like a blade pressed gently through flesh. The water is black, mirror still, and choked with steam, but not from cold, from fire. Below, the village burns, not loudly. This fire is tired, charcoal red. It eats what's left with the quiet greed of something that has done this before, many times. The boy watches from beside you. He does not ask who lit it. He knows. You see the longhouses split open like ribs. One roof has collapsed inward, snow folding over flame in a slow, reluctant burial. Livestock run nowhere. No screams remain. Only the crackle. Only the breath. The forgeman kneels near a scorched boat, one side burned to ash, the other still wet with the tide. He places a hand on its side as though offering apology or farewell. He says nothing. The woman stands farther up the ridge, arms folded, eyes sharp. She does not look away, even when something collapses in the smoke, even when a raven dives low and does not rise again. The boy turns to her. What was this place? Her voice is flat, quiet. Mine. You don't ask more. You feel it in her posture. The clenched jaw, the blade she doesn't draw, the memory behind her eyes that burns hotter than the fire below. The boy walks into the smoke. He doesn't flinch, not when cinders cling to his clothes, not when he steps over the charred frame of a cradle. He kneels in the square, where the stone still holds a ring of ash. Once, a fire burned here for warmth, not war. He touches the soot. It coats his fingers like ink. He doesn't wipe it off. The forgeman joins him, kneels, places something on the stone, a black bead. You've seen it before. The one dropped by the raven at the foot of the tree. The boy understands. He sets it gently into the ash, and the ash swirls, just slightly, as though recognizing it, accepting it. The woman finally descends. She walks past them, into what remains of a house, no roof, just 3 walls, and a long strip of fur nailed to the frame. She pulls it down. It's a cloak, burned at the hem, red thread running along the collar. She folds it carefully, returns to the boy, and drapes it across his shoulders. It doesn't warm him, but it carries something. The weight of a past, not his, placed there without force. He stands, and from the ridge above, the fire slowly dies. Not quenched, not smothered, just done. Because even flame, like memory, grows tired. The silence is heavier now. You pass another closed door, but this one is made of frost. Not ice, frost. Thin, quiet, patient. It builds slowly, grain by grain, until the hinges no longer creak, and the room inside forgets the sound of voices. The boy walks through snow now, up a hill where no path remains. The village behind him fades into smoke and smudge. The woman trails behind, steps careful, as if not to disturb something buried just beneath the white. And above them both, the hall, stone, wide-shouldered, shouldering years. Its roof is rimmed in icicles so sharp they look like teeth. Its doors are carved but worn, the figures smoothed by wind, by time, by hands that have not touched them in decades. The boy hesitates. The woman nods once, and he pushes the door open. No creak, no resistance. The cold inside is worse than outside, not because of temperature, but because of absence. A throne sits at the far end, empty. No tapestries hang from the beams, no braziers burn, no fire waits, just snow on the floor, dust in the rafters, and the body in the chair beside the throne. A man, old, once tall, now folded, wrapped in gray furs, mouth open, not in terror, but in a half-finished word. A crown sits on his lap, not gold, wood, split down the middle. The forgeman kneels first. He does not touch the body, only lowers his head. The woman moves next. She steps to the throne, does not sit, only places her hand upon its arm, then withdraws it. The boy stands in the center of the hall. The silence moves around him like a wind that never touches skin. He removes the raven cloak, lays it on the steps, and with it, the ash-streaked knife. He says nothing, but the cold listens. He walks toward the dead king and kneels, not out of reverence, out of recognition. The woman speaks. He ruled until the snow forgot to melt. The forge man adds, he spoke only to the wind in his last year. The boy closes the king's eyes. They do not stay shut, but it is enough. He rises, looks at the crown, does not touch it. He knows better now. Some things are not meant to be worn. Some weights are only meant to be acknowledged. He steps back, and for a moment, the snow inside the hall shifts. A breeze, a breath, or the spirit of a king who has nothing left to hold. You follow them out. The woman does not look back, but the boy does. Only once. And in that single glance he understands. Silence can rule longer than speech, and the cold remembers more than fire ever could. You pass another closed door. The silence still hums, but now, beneath it, footsteps echo, not on pine needles, not on snow, but on stone, wide, warm, and worn thin by 1,000 years of kings, beggars, merchants, saints, and shadows. The boy walks now through dust, not frost. His boots press into ancient roads, veins of red and gold laid through the spine of the earth. Around him, a city unlike any he's ever known. Miklagard, the great city. Its walls rise too high to see the top. Its towers gleam. Its streets sing in tongues he cannot name. But he walks anyway, because he must. Because they told stories of it. Sagas filled with marble palaces, fires that never died, and coins so bright they blinded. But the stories never told him how it would feel, how small he would feel, how heavy his coat would seem beside silk, how quiet his voice would sound between so many voices. The forge man walks beside him. He does not stare upward. He has seen it before. But even he walks slower here. Even his boots fall more carefully. And the woman? Gone, for now. She walks ahead, unseen, always, or perhaps waiting where shadow meets light. They pass markets strung with spices that sting the nose, cinnamon, clove, smoke, blood orange rind. They pass fountains where women laugh in gold-threaded veils. They pass beggars with hands like maps, and still they walk, until the city begins to change. No more color, no more song, only stone, only steel. They have reached the quarter of soldiers, Varangians, men with axes as long as spears, hair braided with coin, eyes that carry distant winters. One of them sees the boy, nods, not kindly, not cruelly, simply as one who knows the sea still lives inside him. They enter a hall, not wide, but deep. Inside, a wall of shields, old, cracked, scorched by years of war under southern suns. Some are marked with runes, others with lions, suns, stars, forgotten kings. The boy stares, and beside them, beneath flickering lamplight, a carving, a ship, like his, but upside down, as though sailing across the underworld. The forge man touches the carving. He says, "They leave their ships at the gate, but they carry the storm into the walls." The boy says nothing. He approaches a slab of dark stone, etched with names he cannot read. One line glows faintly, scratched fresh. He runs his fingers across it. His name is not there. Not yet. The silence of the hall grows tighter, hotter. You realize this is no resting place. It is a vault, a waiting, a place for fire to cool and be called again. He leaves the hall and finds the sky has changed. The sun is sinking, but the gold of the city holds its light longer than the sky does. From the harbor, he hears a horn, not northern, southern, but still, a call. The forge man asks, "Do you want to stay?" The boy answers, "Do I belong?" And for the first time in many days, the man smiles. No one belongs here. Then why do they come? He shrugs. To disappear. They walk on. The gold fades behind them, but the dust clings, and the boy glances once more at the gate and wonders how many names waited too long to be remembered. You almost forget this isn't a memory. The silence is heavier now, but it doesn't fall. It walks. You feel it before you see her. The tremor in the air, the way even the dust beneath your feet shifts like it recognizes a rhythm from long ago. The city fades behind you. The gold disappears. And once more, you are walking the rim between known and myth. The boy walks slower now. His feet ache, not from distance, from decision. His hand hovers near the place where the knife used to be. But it's gone. Left behind. Sacrificed. He carries no weapon, only silence. And then, at the edge of the forest, where the trees tangle like thoughts not yet spoken, she appears. The woman, the shield maiden, the one whose mark once ran from cheek to collarbone, like a strike waiting to land. She is not the same. Her braid is shorter, her cloak is scorched at the edge, but her eyes? They are sharp enough to slice the horizon in half. She steps from the trees. Behind her, not warriors, not wolves, only herself. And that is enough. The boy stops. Their eyes meet. No words cross between them. But something else does. A weight. A recognition. A name not spoken, but still carried. She approaches. Her sword is wrapped, tied in cloth. She does not draw it. She lays it at his feet. He looks down at it, then up. Why? He asks. Her answer is simple. You walked the wall. He nods once. She gestures to the trees. We go west now. To where? To what's left. He does not ask what that means. He only turns. The forge man catches up. His hammer is back on his hip, not for war, but for witness. The three of them walk again. You walk with them. The path curves through the trees. Leaves fall, though no wind stirs. They crunch softly underfoot, like old bones being ground into story. The boy finally speaks. What happened after the fire? She glances sideways. I left. And now? She shrugs. Now I return. He thinks for a moment. Did they ask you to? She stops walking. Looks at him. I was not made to be asked. He nods again. No more questions. The forest opens into a meadow, one you've never seen before, but which feels like something remembered. The grass is high. The wind moves only once, and overhead, a raven circles. But this time it does not cry. It glides, silent, as though even it knows something has changed. She kneels, places her palm on the earth, not to pray, to feel, to listen, to root. And the boy kneels beside her. They press their hands into the ground, like placing their names into a ledger that doesn't forget. The forge man remains standing, one hand on his hammer, one eye on the sky. He speaks. We are what is left. The woman replies, softly, for now. Ash drifts in the quiet. The silence still hums, but deeper now. Deeper than voice. Deeper than steel. It thrums like something buried too long, not forgotten, only sleeping beneath the skin of the earth. You walk behind them. The three of them. The boy, the shield maiden, the forge man. They cross the meadow. Then the stones begin. First scattered, then placed, then shaped. A low hill rises ahead, not tall, not sharp, but rounded like the back of a great beast lying beneath moss and thyme. The barrow. You feel it before you reach it. The air grows colder, but not cruel. This is not the cold of winter. This is the cold of stillness, the kind that holds breath in cupped hands. They stop at its base. No door, only a stone slab, dark with lichen, wide enough to cover what must lie beneath. The woman kneels, presses her palm to it, and for a moment, nothing happens. Then, a creak. A low moan from the hill itself. The slab shifts, not by her hand, but by permission. The forge man lights a torch. Its flame flickers blue at first, then steadies. He descends. She follows. The boy goes last. You go with him. Inside, stone walls, round and ribbed, like the hollow bones of something ancient. The torch casts gold light over carvings, spirals, runes, ships sailing in circles, swords pointing downward. Not warnings, not curses, markers. This place does not hide the dead. It holds them, cradles them. At the center, a mound of earth, low, covered in wolf pelts, hardened with time. The forge man kneels beside it, places the torch in a socket carved into the wall. The flame holds. The woman places something beside the mound. Not a blade, a braid, red thread woven into black hair. Her own. She says nothing. The boy stands before the mound. He does not kneel. He does not cry. But he reaches into his cloak, pulls out a small wooden figure. The dragon. You had thought it left behind, but it has returned. He sets it gently atop the pelts, and the mound breathes, just once, then settles again. He steps back. The woman looks at him. You carry more than your name. He says, I know. She says, do you want to give it back? He pauses. No. And she nods. A silence settles again. But it is not empty. It is full. Of presence. Of the weight of those who still whisper from beneath. And then, the torch goes out. No wind. No smoke. Just extinguished. Stillness. They do not panic. They leave in darkness. The barrow does not close behind them. It sighs, and you feel it. A ripple in the earth that does not seek notice. Only remembrance. When they return to the hill's crest, the sky has changed. Stars bloom above like new runes being written across a god's palm. And the raven is waiting on a standing stone. It does not fly. It watches, as if counting how many returned from the hill, and finding the number correct. The silence still hums. The silence still hums. But now, it moves against the current. You walk beside the boy again, though neither of you speaks. The grass bends differently now, as though no longer blown by wind, but drawn toward something behind you, or beneath you. Each step feels less like a journey forward, and more like a return. The stars above have not changed, but the air has. Cooler, quieter, a kind of stillness that presses into the skin, like fingers just shy of a grip. They come to a river, narrow, slow, dark. It does not babble like streams you've crossed before. It murmurs low, dragging leaves backward against the pull of gravity. The water runs uphill, not in defiance, in memory. The forge man squats beside it, dips his hand, then withdraws it quickly, breath catching. Not cold, not pain, recognition. The shield maiden watches from the other side. She does not speak. She does not move. The boy crouches, dips his fingers. You expect chill. Instead, warmth, like skin, like pulse. The river carries not only water, but something older, viscous, red. Not blood, not exactly, but the memory of blood. He watches it swirl around his fingers. Then he sees them, shapes in the current, not fish, not roots, faces, flickering, some childlike, some old, some familiar enough to catch breath in his throat. The river does not hide its dead. It carries them. Back. Always back. The boy whispers, "Is this where we go?" The forge man shakes his head. "This is where we came from." He gestures upstream. "There's a place where the blood remembers its name." The woman speaks now, softly. "There's a stone there, one for each life taken, and one for each spared." The boy stands, begins walking, but not along the river, into it. It parts for him, up to his ankles, then his knees. The water does not resist. It cradles. You follow. You expect weight. You feel none. Only warmth, sadness, something like a lullaby with no words. He moves steadily until he reaches a bend where the river disappears into mist. And there, on the bank, stand the stones. Dozens, hundreds, not placed, but grown, pale gray, vein-rippled, some cracked, some clean. Each one is smooth to the touch and warm, as if kept alive by the memory they hold. The boy walks among them, and then he stops. One stone stands taller than the others, unmarked, yet he knows. He touches it. The mist around him thickens, and in that grayness, a voice speaks. Not aloud, not with sound, but with rhythm. It says his name, then another, and they are all the same. You feel it too, not lineage, not pride, the weight of being one ripple in a much longer flood. He kneels. He says nothing, but he places both palms against the stone and breathes. The river still runs backward, the dead still drift upstream, and the blood does not boil. It remembers. A candle flickers. Your breath slows. The silence is heavier now, but within it, the faintest scrape. Charcoal against bark, memory reshaped. The fire tonight is small, a circle barely wide enough for three, but they sit close. The boy, the shield maiden, the forge man, backs to the wind, hands outstretched not for warmth, but to feel that something still burns. The river is behind them. The stones sleep. Above, no stars tonight. Only a thick sky, too low to breathe deeply beneath. And then, a breath that is not theirs, a shape at the edge of the firelight. You know him, before the cloak moves, before the ink-stained fingers appear, before the birch bark is unwrapped. The skald has returned. No footsteps, no warning. He is simply here, as he was before. Only, this time he kneels and says nothing. His eyes are darker now, not crueler, only deeper, as though they've sunk further into the well he once spoke of, the one that drinks memory. The forge man does not greet him. The woman's fingers hover near her blade, but she does not draw it. The boy watches, not with awe, with knowing. The skald begins to lay out the bark. 8 strips, each one etched in curling ink, looped runes, lines that seem to shimmer even in the fire's flicker. He places them in a circle, and in the center, a 9th piece. Blank. He looks up, at the boy, then nods. The boy reaches for the charcoal. His hand hovers, then moves. He does not draw a shape. He draws a spiral, the broken kind, the one he carved in the rain. But this time, he closes it. 1 loop more. The breath completes. The rune becomes whole. The skald watches and smiles, not with teeth, with silence. He lifts 1 piece of bark, reads it aloud, but not in words, in rhythm. The fire bends slightly, as if bowing. The forge man lowers his eyes. The woman closes hers. The boy listens. And in his chest, something settles. The skald reads another. This one sounds like wind in tall grass. Another, the beat of oars. Another, the cry of a raven before it lands. These are not stories. These are shadows of stories, pressed into the bark like fingerprints on still water. Then, he stops. The last strip remains unread. The boy reaches for it, turns it over. There's nothing on the back, but he inhales sharply. You feel it too. Not with eyes, with blood. The strip is warm, and when he touches it, the ink rises. From nothing, a shape appears. Not a rune, not a spiral. A flame, small, closed, curled in on itself like a child in sleep. The scald nods once, then begins gathering the bark, one by one. But the blank strip, now marked. He leaves. For the boy, he stands. The fire flares once, then dims. The scald steps back into the dark, and again, gone. The boy holds the bark, and though the air grows colder, he does not shiver. He places it beside him, not near the fire, near his chest, because some flames live longer in silence than in heat. You almost forget this isn't a memory. The silence still hums, but now it swells, like the sea before a storm, like a chest filling with breath before a scream, or a song, or nothing at all. The ship is ready, not a long ship like before. This one is leaner, salt-worn. Its ribs speak of other waters, south perhaps, or east, places where fish glow and stars fall differently. But the boy steps aboard without asking. The shield maiden climbs after, and the forge man loads the last bundle, not with weapons, but cloth, bark, a single coil of rope that looks too new. The sail unfurls, black and blue, striped like veins across a pale sky, and the sea, the whale road, opens before them. You stand at the prow with the boy. He does not hold the tiller. He does not speak. The wind moves gently, yet enough, and beneath, the water carries them, smooth, silent, still, until a shape, far ahead. The horizon buckles, not upward, downward, as if the edge of the world has grown tired of pretending to be flat. The boy sees it. He leans forward, and the wind sharpens. The shield maiden steps to his side. Have you heard the sea speak? She asks. He nods. Does it lie? He shakes his head. They pass floating branches, feathers. A carved tooth, too large for any beast they know. Then the sky dims, not from clouds, from the shadow of something rising. A wall. Stone? No. Water. A surge. A shimmer. The edge. The forge man speaks. It's not the end. But no one returns, the boy replies. They do, he says, but not in the same form. The waves change now. Slicker. Oily. The stars above blink once, twice, then disappear entirely. And below? A glimmer. Not gold. Not fire. Something older. Something watching. The ship slows. No one touches the sail. The boy steps forward. He kneels and dips his fingers into the water. It clings to him. Not wet. Not cold. Just heavy. Like ink spilled over the soul. He lifts it to his brow, lets it mark him. And then they cross the line. The whale road sighs beneath them. A current pulls. Not back, not down, but through. And on the other side, no land, just sea and silence. But it is a different silence now. Not the hush of waiting, not the pause before story, but the quiet that comes when even memory stops looking backward. You are farther from home than ever before. And yet, you are not lost. You are with them, and they are still moving. Nothing moves, not even you, but the story continues. The silence is heavier now. It presses, not from around, but from within, like breath that won't exhale, like a name held so long on the tongue it forgets how to be spoken. The sea is flat, too flat. The kind of flatness that suggests something underneath, something watching, unmoving, as if waiting for you to move first. The ship floats, no oars, no sail, only motionless drift. The boy stands mid-deck, eyes on the horizon, but there is none. Just gray, endless. The shield maiden stands beside him. She does not draw her sword. She does not blink. The forge man places a small, curved horn at the boy's feet, not to drink from, to listen. The boy kneels, lifts the horn, holds it to his ear. At first, nothing. Then, a hum. Not from outside, from deep inside. Like hearing your own blood call back. He lowers it, looks up. And there, rising from the water without ripple, without splash, is a figure. Tall, wrapped in rags or robes or seaweed. It's hard to tell. It has no face, not truly. Only shadows where features should be. No mouth, but you feel it speak. You are not the first. The boy doesn't answer. You carry a name that does not belong to you. Still, silence. You carry a silence that does. The boy finally speaks. I didn't ask to carry anything. The god, if it is one, tilts its head. You did not need to ask. You were chosen by absence. The shield maiden steps forward. What do you want from him? It shifts. Not closer, just larger. Its voice curls in her bones. I want nothing. I want only to remember what I was. And he can help you remember? No. It pauses. But he can forget me, the way all mortals do. The forge man speaks now, soft as thunder in winter. Then speak your name. The being recoils slightly. There is no name. Then be gone, he says. But it doesn't leave. It turns back to the boy. Before I vanish, I will give you this. And it opens its palm. Inside, a coin, plain, unmarked. No king, no symbol, only weight. The boy does not take it, but he reaches, not with his hand, with his breath, and the coin shivers, then splits. Not broken, revealed. Inside, a seed, small, dark, alive. The god folds its fingers, and with no sound, no ceremony, it sinks, back into the sea, gone. The sky lightens, a little, enough to see each other's faces again. The boy looks down. The horn is cracked. The seed is in his hand. The woman touches it once. The forge man nods once. No one speaks. Because what was given is not to be spoken of. Not yet. It must be planted, but not in soil. In silence. A bell rings again. Softer this time. The silence still hums, but with an edge, like a lullaby sharpened by longing. The ship moves again, not with sail, nor with oar, but by something beneath, a current that pulses like memory beneath skin. No land in sight, only mist. But then, the boy sees it. A line in the fog, faint, dark, rising and falling like a sleeping breath. An island. The shield maiden sees it next. Her fingers flex, then still. The forge man squints. His jaw tightens. You see it? The boy asks. The man nods once, slowly. Only when I forget not to. The boy frowns. What does that mean? The woman answers, It means some places appear only when you remember them wrong. They approach. No birds. No sound but the lap of water against wood. The island waits, shaped like a knuckle above the sea. The ship glides to its shore, not beach, but stone, smooth, black, veined with silver. They disembark, and everything softens. The boy's boots touch the rock, and the world feels thick, like sound and time are caught in honey. Trees rise around them, twisted, rootless, leafless. Their bark is carved with runes, but the runes shift when looked at too long. One moment, a spiral. The next, an eye. The next, a question. They walk carefully. No wind. But your skin ripples, as if something inside is remembering the place for you. Then, a clearing. A ring of stones. Inside, nothing. No body. No weapon. Only an impression in the moss, like someone once knelt here for a very long time. The boy steps inside. He looks around and speaks low. I've never been here. But his voice trembles, as if correcting itself. The forge man walks the perimeter, tracing each stone with his palm. The woman stands at the edge, eyes closed. And the boy? He kneels, places the seed from the faceless god at the center. The moment it touches the earth, the moss darkens. A hum. Not sound. Not wind. The kind of hum bones make when they remember they are not alone. The trees lean in. The air deepens. The island breathes. And the boy understands. This is not a place you sail to. It's a place that rises inside you when you are most lost. When you have too many names. When no story fits. The island was never on any map, but it was always waiting. The seed begins to crack, not bloom, not rot, just open. And inside, nothing, only possibility. The boy smiles, just a little. The others do not. They are already turning to leave. Because no one stays on the island. Not for long, and when they return to the shore, the ship is gone. But a path of stone has risen over the water, wide enough for three. Just wide enough. The boy looks once more behind him, and sees nothing. No island, no clearing, no seed, just sea. But it lingers in him. A rhythm, a root, a doorway. You pass another closed door. The silence still hums, but beneath it, something cracks. Not loudly, not like thunder or sword, like ice, breaking slow beneath memory. The stone path ends at the edge of a fjord. It wasn't there yesterday. Now it is. Water lies still, mirror flat, reflecting not the sky but the cold that shaped it. The old cold. The deep cold. The kind that came before language and stayed long after it was needed. The boy kneels at the shore. He touches the surface. It does not ripple. It clings. Thin crystals form along his fingertips, spreading like veins from the nail down to the palm. He does not pull back. He lets it happen. The forge man stands behind him, arms folded, watching as steam begins to rise, not from fire, but from beneath the water. The shield maiden does not move. Her breath fogs once, then stills. Across the fjord, ice groans, not breaking, not melting, shifting. A shape forms on the far bank, low, dark, long. A boat, not sailing, risen. Frozen ribs first, then deck, then mast. Snapped at the top, bent like a shoulder bowed in prayer. The boy stands. You see it? He asks. The forge man nods. The sea gives back what it does not know how to keep. A wind stirs now, and with it, movement. Figures. 6, maybe 7, climbing from the broken boat. Not hurried, not ghostly, just present. Too present. One of them carries a shield, its paint faded, but you know it. The horse, white on red, the same the boy carved as a child. He steps forward, then stops, because one of the figures is looking at him, and it has his eyes. Not exactly, not clearly, but close enough to slow the blood. The woman speaks, voice low and steady. Sometimes time breaks. Sometimes it folds. And sometimes it simply walks beside itself. The boy walks to the water's edge again. He cups it, lifts it, lets it run down his face. It stings, but it does not freeze. The ice gives way, not shattering, releasing, as though even it has been waiting for him to return. The figures on the far shore watch, say nothing, and then begin to fade, not back into mist, into clarity, becoming what they were before the sea took them, becoming memory again, but now with shape, with edges, with names. The boat, too, begins to lower, slowly, gently, sinking not in grief, but in peace. The boy kneels once more, not in reverence, in recognition. His shadow stretches across the water, and on the far bank, the last figure lifts a hand. He lifts his in return. They do not wave, they reflect. Ash drifts in the quiet. The silence still hums, but now it echoes, as if from below. You stand with them at the foot of a mountain. No snow, just stone, black and flat, rising like a blade hammered too many times. No paths twist around it. No birds trace its summit. It does not invite. It waits. The forgeman sets down his hammer. Just once. The boy watches. You know this place? He asks. The man nods. I once thought it was a tomb. And now? He places his palm against the stone. It's something deeper. The shield maiden walks ahead. She does not wait for permission. You follow them into the cleft, a narrow wound in the mountain's base, just wide enough for a body, just deep enough to be swallowed. It's dark, then darker, then dark enough that the sound of your own breath feels borrowed. And then the chamber, round, open, hollowed not by tools, but by time itself. The walls are rippled, layered with soot, echoing past flames and voices and long shed tears. At the center, the bell, enormous, hung not by chain, but grown from the ceiling, like a stalactite sharpened into purpose. It is not metal, not wood, something else, smooth as bone, dark as oath. The forgeman approaches. He bows, not deeply, but deliberately. The woman kneels at the edge of the chamber. Her fingers trail along the floor, tracing faint lines, concentric rings, carved by feet over generations. And the boy steps into the circle. He stands before the bell. He does not touch it. He only listens. No sound. But still, it hums. Low. Lower than the sea. Lower than sleep. The forgeman speaks softly. It only rings when it's remembered. The boy whispers, How? You don't strike it. He places a hand on his chest. You answer it. The boy closes his eyes. The bell remains still. Then he opens his mouth. No words. Just breath. Just a single tone. Flat. Unsure. But real. And the bell replies. Not loud. Not bright. A note so deep it trembles your spine. It passes through you. Not over. It settles behind your eyes. You feel the shield maiden bow her head. The forgeman lowers to one knee. And the boy, He continues the tone, and the bell answers again, and then again, and again, until the tone becomes something more than sound, until it becomes story. Not one told aloud, one remembered by the body, by the bones, by the stone, and when the sound finally fades, there is no echo, only stillness, but not the same silence as before, a deeper silence, a kind of understanding. The boy turns to leave, but before he does, he touches the bell. Once. And it does not ring. It pulses. As if alive. As if grateful. As if now it remembers him too. The silence still hums. The silence still hums. And somewhere within it, branches creak. You walk with them again. The boy, the shield maiden, the forge man, through low hills and thinning mist. The sky is pale now. Not dawn, not dusk, that soft nothing between. And then you see it, the tree, still there, still vast, still wrong in all the right ways, its bark split with veins of light, its roots half above, half beneath, its branches stretched like arms that forgot whether they were reaching or letting go. The boy stops first. He stands at the same place he once watched the raven land, but the bird is not here now. Just wind. Just time. The shield maiden says nothing. She looks up. Not as a warrior, not as a priestess, but as someone who once climbed something taller than herself and never came down the same. The forge man sets his hammer beside the base, then rests his hand on the trunk. The tree hums. The boy walks closer. He touches the same knot he once touched, a swirl the skald once called the breath between the runes. He whispers, "You kept it." The tree does not answer, but a small fold in the bark shifts open. Inside, the strip of birch bark, curled, darkened, waiting. He lifts it, and there it is, the rune he drew, the spiral, closed, but now, another beside it, one he did not write, the shape of a flame, but not rising, rooted. The forge man steps forward. He places a small pouch at the base of the tree. You hear the rattle, charcoal, pigment, ash. The shield maiden kneels. She carves something into the soil, not with a blade, but with her fingers, a circle, a line through it. Then 2 marks at the edge, a map, a seed, a farewell. The boy places the birch strip back inside the tree. It accepts it, with a sigh, and from above, something falls. Not a leaf, a feather, dark, soft, curled at the edge. He catches it, places it in the fold of his cloak, then steps back. He looks to the woman. "Will it grow?" She answers, "It already has." He turns to the forge man. "Will they remember?" The man says, "Only if they forget everything else." They sit at the base of the tree. The bark groans once, the wind shifts, and far in the branches, you hear it. A bell, not struck, not rung, just heard. As if the whole tree is remembering its shape. The boy closes his eyes. The tree does not close around him. It opens. And the light filtering through its branches is the same color as the dream he once forgot. You almost forget this isn't a memory. The silence still hums, but now it folds inward. A soft breath before sleep. You remain at the foot of the tree. The boy sits in its roots, head tilted back, watching the branches shift gently against the sky. The feather still tucked in his cloak does not move. The wind holds still. Even the grass, once restless, has stilled. He waits, not for a sign, for something quieter. The shield maiden rests beside him, one hand curled around the blade still wrapped in linen, not drawn, never drawn again. It is enough to carry it. The forge man leans against the trunk, his hammer set on the earth, moss curling around its head like old fingers. His eyes are closed, but you know he is not asleep. And then, a shape. Dark, slow, winged. The raven. It returns not with a cry, but with gravity. The way a falling leaf returns to its tree, or a thought returns to the place it began. It circles once, then again, then lands on the branch directly above them. The same branch. Its talons press into the bark with a sound softer than memory. The boy does not look up. He only reaches into his cloak and removes the feather. He holds it to the light. It does not gleam. It does not shine. But it breathes. The raven cocks its head, not in judgment, not in hunger, only in that ancient way of watching. The boy places the feather at the base of the tree. The bark curls around it gently, and for a moment it glows, not brightly, not forever, just enough to be noticed, then fades. The shield maiden rises. She touches the tree once, not to ask, not to take, but to thank. The forge man lifts his hammer, not to strike, to carry. The boy stands, looks around, and says nothing. He doesn't need to. The wind begins again, soft, warm, carrying not cold, but a kind of farewell only the earth knows how to whisper. Above, the raven lifts one wing, then the other. It does not fly. It waits. And in that stillness, you understand. This was never a story of war. It was a story of what war leaves behind. The tree, the boy, the woman, the man, and the watcher. Symbols, yes, but also seeds, planted not in soil, but in time, in silence, in you, the flame from long ago, the one the boy carved, the one the skald whispered. You feel it now, inside, smaller, quieter, but still burning. And the tree? It still stands, always, even when forgotten, especially then. Nothing moves, not even you, but the story continues. The silence still hums, but now it rests. You walk into a clearing beyond the tree. The ground here is soft with moss, pale green underfoot, as though no one has disturbed it in years, or ever. The sky above is cloudless, silver pink like the breath between dusk and dawn. They are already there. The shield maiden, the forge man, the boy. But none are standing. They are seated, not collapsed, not waiting, simply being. Around them, weapons. Laid down in the grass, not scattered but placed, carefully. Blades wrapped in cloth, hilts facing skyward. No blood, no polish, just rest. A circle, a hush. Each sword, each axe, each tool, placed like an offering, not to the gods, but to silence itself. The boy looks at his hands. For the first time, they are empty. No bark, no blade, no coin, no burden. He lifts his fingers slightly, as if they might forget how to curl, as if they might become something else, not fists, not tools, simply hands. The shield maiden unwraps her sword, places it flat beside her. It no longer gleams. Its edge is worn. A faint crack runs down its length, and still she smiles, as if it, too, has earned its sleep. The forge man places his hammer across his knees. He does not hold it. He listens to it, as though remembering every time it rang out in battle, in labor, in grief. Then he closes his eyes, and it breathes. The weapons do not hum. They exhale. They are no longer meant to cut, nor break, nor strike. They are stories now, and stories, too, must sleep. The boy lies down, his back against the moss, his hands folded over his chest, not in fear, in peace. Above him, clouds begin to gather, not storm, not threat, just shade. The kind that lets things bloom in quiet, the kind that lets dreams unfold without end. A candle flickers, your breath slows. The silence is heavier now, not burdensome, not suffocating, holy. You follow her, the shield maiden, as she steps away from the circle of resting blades. The moss does not stir beneath her feet. Even the wind steps aside. She does not look back. She walks into a grove no one planted. Trees rise tall and straight, bark white as bone, limbs smooth as smoke. But one among them glows, not brightly, not loudly, just enough to warm the dark. The flame tree. It stands crooked at the heart of the grove. Its bark ripples with veins of amber light. Its branches do not burn. They remember burning. She stops before it. For a long while, nothing moves. Then she kneels. Her hands, calloused and scarred, reach down into the soil, not to take, to give. She unfastens the bundle beneath her cloak, a lock of hair, wrapped in linen, black and red, braided once, cut short. You remember. So does she. She presses it into the earth at the tree's base, not with sadness, with tenderness. The flame tree responds. A soft flicker, a pulse. One branch bends low, not to strike, to bless. She bows her head, not to the tree, to what it holds. A name without sound, a grief without wound, a flame that never asked to be lit. And beside her, another shape. You don't remember seeing it arrive, but there it is. The girl, younger, almost her, but not quite. They touch palms, one warm, one trembling. No words pass, only light. The tree opens a seam in its bark. Inside, a single coal, still warm, still glowing. The woman does not take it. The girl does, and together, they place it back into the soil. Let it root. Let it wait. Then the girl vanishes, like breath. The woman rises, taller now. She leaves the grove, but behind her, the flame tree pulses once more, not in fire, in forgiveness. You pass another closed door. The silence still hums, but now it rings, not loudly, not clearly, just enough to draw your steps inward. The forge man walks alone now, not far from the tree, beyond the resting circle, past the place where moss grows between old footprints. He knows the way. The path unfolds under him, as if the land remembers. He carries no hammer now. It rests with the others. But still his hands swing slightly, out of rhythm, out of habit, out of memory. Ahead, a forge, not as you've seen before. No fire glows, no smoke curls, no bellows wait, just the frame of a forge. Stone walls low and wide, an anvil blackened by time, the ground scattered with curled flakes of iron long cooled. He enters without announcement. The air is not warm. It hums, faintly, like a bell once struck, still vibrating years later. He kneels before the anvil, touches its surface with his fingertips, and breathes, a long, slow breath that smells of soot, of age, of something buried and retrieved. He closes his eyes, and he listens, not for voices, for echoes. Each mark on the anvil carries a sound, a strike once made, a promise once tempered, a sorrow cooled into steel. He places his hand flat on it, and from beneath his skin, something rises, not flame, Pulse. A glow travels from palm to stone. Soft, pale, golden. The anvil warms, not to heat, but to memory. He reaches beside him, lifts a bar of metal, dull, bent, one that failed to hold shape. He places it on the anvil, raises both hands, and lowers them slowly, not in strike, in reverence. The metal bends, not from force, from knowing. Shape begins to form, without fire, without pain, only weight, only time. He shapes a curve, a spiral, then seals it with a final press. It cools instantly. He lifts it. It is not a weapon. It is not a tool. It is a ring, wide and flat, like the path around the tree. He sets it beside him, then walks away. No flames needed. Only silence. Only patience. Only a forge that remembers how to make something, without burning. The silence is heavier now. The silence still hums, but this time it feels old, not worn, not weary, just patient. You find yourself walking through mist, not cold, not warm, a silver-gray hush, thick enough to hide, thin enough to let things pass through. Figures move ahead, not people, not ghosts, impressions, dreams, walking without bodies. They drift across a field that was never sown, beneath a sky that forgot which stars to hang. Their outlines flicker, a warrior's frame, a mother's arms, a child's laugh, frozen in gesture. They don't speak, but you feel them. Each one a thread from a tapestry long unstitched. The boy stands among them now. He does not flinch. He simply watches. One passes through him. He does not shiver, because it's not gone. It's simply moving on. The shield maiden walks nearby, her hand outstretched, not to stop them, but to honor them as they go. The forge man lingers at the edge of the field. He places the iron ring on the ground. It hums, a soft sound, barely there. But when it touches the soil, the dreams turn. All of them, just for a breath. They face the ring, then bow. Not to the man, to the shape, to the echo, to the fact that something of them still lives. The boy kneels. He touches the ground, and beneath his fingers, the grass glows. Not bright, just real, as if he's touching what they touched, seeing what they saw, becoming what they once dreamed to be. One figure steps close. It wears no face, but it holds out a hand. The boy does not take it. He only mirrors the gesture, palm to palm, presence to presence. Then, the dream drifts upward, breaks like mist, becomes part of sky. One by one, the others follow, until the field is empty. But it doesn't feel empty. It feels full, like a room where laughter once lived. The boy rises, no tears, only stillness. And the forge man speaks. They lived long enough to be remembered. The shield maiden adds, and remembered long enough to become real. A bell rings again, softer this time. The silence still hums, but now it stretches above, wide, vast, holding its breath. You walk again with them, the boy, the shield maiden, the forge man. But this time, no path unfolds beneath your feet. Only sky, endless, star-pierced. It feels close enough to touch, yet far enough to swallow your name whole. The air around you holds a chill, not from wind, but from remembrance. They stop near a ridge. Above them, constellations that do not sit still. They shift, slowly, spiraling. One forms the curve of an oar, another, a wolf's jaw closing around a moon, another still, a tree, upside down, its roots glowing like embers across the night. The boy lifts his face. "This sky is wrong," he says. "No," the woman replies. "It's just older than the one we knew." The forge man reaches into his cloak, removes a shard of something blackened, gleaming faintly in the dark. Obsidian? No. Cooled flame. He holds it to the stars, and where it reflects, the stars tremble. One drops, not falling, returning. It streaks low across the sky, not as fire, but as memory with speed. The shield maiden steps forward. She lifts her hand. And you see it then. Across her palm, a scar you hadn't noticed before. A burn, long healed, still warm. She opens her fingers. The star passes directly above her, then fades. Not out. Into the sky, as though it had always belonged there. The boy reaches upward, but not to catch, to offer. He closes his fist slowly, and when he opens it, ash, soft, bright, falling upward. The forge man turns to him. "Fire doesn't forget," he says. "It just finds new shapes to live in." And the boy nods. Because above them, one more constellation forms. It is not a weapon, not a beast, not a god, just a circle, a spiral, a flame made of light, still spinning, still burning, still waiting to be seen. You almost forget this isn't a memory. The silence still hums, but now it feels familiar. Like a song you knew in childhood, half forgotten, still sung by the trees when no one listens. They sleep now. The boy, the woman, the forge man, not deeply, but fully, curled beneath the stars that keep moving. Beside them lies the bark. Not many pieces, just one, unfolded, blank, but not for long. Your hand moves, or perhaps it's his, perhaps it's both. Charcoal is lifted. Lines begin. No borders, no names, no places as you know them, only curves. A river spiraling, a tree at the center, a flame below it. Not a map of land, a map of memory. The boy stirs in sleep. His lips part. No words, just a breath. The charcoal deepens. A mark here, where a bell once rang. Another, where a wolf sang the stars awake. Another, where a coin split to reveal a seed. And there, far in the corner, a closed door, drawn not with line, but with absence. You step back. The page is still blank, but you know it now. It is not meant to be read, only felt. You place your hand over it. The bark warms. A pulse. A path. Not forward. Inward. The woman sighs in her sleep. Not troubled. Content. The forge man's fingers twitch, as if gripping the handle of something not heavy, but sacred. And the boy? He turns onto his side, hand resting just over his heart, right where the rune once was. The wind shifts, not around them, through them, like a guide without voice, a reminder without weight. The map glows faintly, but only in the dark. It will not speak unless carried. It will not show unless shared. But now it exists, not because it was made, because it was remembered. The silence still hums. The silence still hums. But now it leans close, like a breath on your neck, like a word that has waited too long to be heard. The boy wakes before the others. The sky is violet now, not night, not dawn. A hush caught between. He walks from the grove where they slept. No path, just earth that remembers footsteps. You follow. Not far ahead stands a single stone, short, dark, uncarved, but not empty. He kneels before it, places his palm on its surface. You expect words, a question, a prayer, but he says nothing. Because he understands now. Some names are too old for sound, too whole for speech, too wide for a single voice. He presses his brow to the stone. The wind gathers, not to chill, to witness. Around him, the trees shift. The moss seems to lean in, and then the stone hums, soft, low, like the bell before it, like the sea beneath it, like the forge behind it. Not a note, a presence. You feel it too, in your chest, in your teeth, in the place between your ribs where grief sleeps. The boy exhales, and when he lifts his head, the stone has changed. Not visibly, not physically, but clearly. It carries his breath now, his silence, and that is enough. He stands. The others have arrived. The shield maiden places her hand on his shoulder. The forge man nods. They do not ask what name he heard. They do not ask if he heard one at all, because it is no longer a name to be carried. It is a part of him, etched not in language, but in stillness. He steps back, and the stone hums once more. A farewell, a welcome, a reminder of all that passed, of all that remains, of all that never needed to be spoken to be real. A candle flickers, your breath slows. The silence still hums, and now it exhales. You walk with them one final time, the boy, the woman, the man, though none of you speak. There is no need. The sky has softened to that pale gold that exists only in dreams just before waking. Ahead, a hill, grassy, unremarkable, and perfect. You climb it slowly, each step lighter than the last. At the top, nothing waits. No banner, no grave, no stone. Just sky, just stillness, just enough. They sit, one by one. The forge man lays his hammer down. The shield maiden unlaces her boots. The boy places the bark, now blank again, into the grass. It sinks in gently. The wind carries no voices now, only breath, only memory, returned to earth like rain. You sit beside them, not behind, not apart. With. Below, you can see the places you've been. The tree, the forge, the river that runs backward, the island that was never there. Even the sea, wide and silver now, as if nothing had ever drowned in it at all. The raven passes overhead. No cry, no arc, just flight. The boy lies back, hands folded beneath his head. He smiles. The woman leans against the man's shoulder. They close their eyes, and the grass begins to sway, not from breeze, from breath. The story you've followed does not end. It simply lies down, like a flame curling into ember, like a hand unclenching, like a name finally spoken without sound. You lie back too, and the sky does not darken. It deepens. The hill does not grow cold. It listens. The silence does not stop. It rests. With you. And in that resting, you are home. Nothing moves, not even you, but the story continues. The world is still now. The tree has faded into dreamlight. The raven has folded its wings. The ship is moored somewhere beyond memory. You do not need to hold any of it. The story has held you. You lie where the roots once curled, though they are not roots now. Only threads, only sleep. The fire from long ago no longer burns, but it glows, soft, steady, somewhere inside you. The boy is gone, or grown, or walking through someone else's dream now. The woman sets down her blade for good. The forge man watches a hammer turn to moss, and the sea? It hushes. All that rises now is breath. Yours, not fast, not forced, just enough. You may not remember the names. You may forget the ships, the storms, the runes carved on bark and bone. But some part of you will always remember the hush between the words, the way silence hummed louder than sound, the way time slowed and let you go. So rest now. Let the story return to its branches. Let the roots hold what you no longer need to carry. Let the wind speak the last line. There is nothing more to chase, only this quiet, only this warmth, only this dream. End of script. Sweet dreams.